Hello, everyone. Welcome to Britton's Hangout Hour, episode 21. Yeah. I'm here today. A bit of a surprise, actually, but a very, very good one. AJP from the World of AJP. It's funny. It's like I said, I talked to Epic Tales yesterday, and then you're like, oh, wait, I can do it! Because you told me you were like gonna wait, and I'm like, all right, that's fine. But this is fine. How you doing today?
Yeah, good old life, just throwing curveballs out of nowhere for me. So I didn't really know what my schedule was going to be. Finally got it, and doing pretty good now. Having my life pretty much with some, good old structure.
That's good. That's good. So, what
Yep.
is it that you do? I know you have a YouTube channel. I've seen a couple of your videos. Um,
My channel I can best describe as just my stupid thoughts just laid perfectly bare in every kind of way. I'm a person who doesn't really like scripting his videos too much or like really have like a main topic or ideas to discuss. I just like to talk about whatever I want to talk about pretty much in a stream of consciousness format. And maybe every once in a while talk about my book series Anarki when I can. But I just do what I want when I want to. Pretty much, it's the whole channel is just dedicated to like books, ideas about philosophy, analysis. That's all very like off the cuff, because
mhm.
that's always been sort of my preferred style of just presenting information, my ideas, keep it nice and raw, the best kind of way. Sometimes it makes me say stupid stuff, and I am kind of an idiot in a lot of regards. But I think I have some points I want to discuss, and just shoot the shit with a lot of people any way I can.
So you like navel gazing? Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, pretty much. I've always been sort of like a vibes person, never really like professional in my regards. I always found to be authenticity to be a very important aspect to people, and I think that that's what my channel basically is. It's just that weird guy, that talks about all this stupid stuff, and it's sometimes funny, pretty much.
Yeah, I saw your video where you ranted about pros, and I even left a comment on there. That was I'm like, now you're making me even more worried about my pros, you bastard.
Yeah, though that whole video is just probably peak me. It's just me venting all the frustrations I have with discourse around prose, and I feel like the opposite direction it's typically gone. It's decades worth of like an academic thing that I feel that's become too over encumbered in the modern day discussions with like the attention to prose, this and that about prose, what makes good prose, simple prose over complex prose, what actually is purple prose. So much bull crap you gotta like sift through. And I just wanted to just like pretty much just give out my whole heart on that type of situation because I like a mix of every type of prose. I think prose can be perfectly fine when it's simple and hard and straight, or it can be beautiful and wonderful to read and complex, all poetic and stuff. And it could be awful in both extremes. I think prose is far more complicated than, oh, look, complex sentence structure and no commas or punctuation. Whoa, is how god awful this book is. That type of thing always like
hmm
piss me off. Because
Yeah,
nowadays,
I found you
go
from
ahead.
Epic Tales because you were talking about Blood Meridian on his channel. And then I friended you on Discord, and then we talked about Blood Meridian for a little bit. Um, then we talked about There Will Be Blood last night, which is one of my favorite movies. So,
Oh yeah,
so
I
we,
actually own the book edition of There Will Be Blood. They're entirely different things. One's called Oil. The other one's entirely different own personality. Because it's come from a quite prolific author that I used to hate and now love him a lot. It's Upton Sinclair, from the author of The Jungle and of course Oil.
why'd you hate him?
Um, when I read him as a kid, I hated him because I felt like he was too much of a political proponent author. Like his ideas were centered around the ideas he wanted to discuss, and that goes for a lot of literature and a lot of philosophy and stuff like that. You want to like focus on your ideas. As I grew older, I appreciated what he was saying about like the voiceless victims of capitalism and stuff like that. I still think he's a crackpot and he says a lot of stupid stuff, but he's a pretty like he's a beautiful author and like a wonderful like characterizer and a very symbolic type of thing.
Yeah,
It's a very, very wonderful thing to read.
Yeah, I know. There Will Be Blood, sort of a loose adaptation of one of his books.
Yeah, Oil. That's literally just the name of the book. They're entirely like different in voice and character and theme. But they share a lot of the anti-capitalist thematics and critiques of religion and that type of stuff right there. But they're
Hmm.
so like loosely similar, like in character and like intention. I will definitely say There Will Be Blood is the better book, is the better thing, better product. But the book is, oh my god, the prose is so good. It's orgasmically good, like beautiful, like amazing in every way. And that's why I gotta give Upton Sinclair. He was a crackpot, and he was very dedicated to his beliefs, many of which were wrong. But he was a very very good author, and he knew how to like very like get people invested into stuff at times.
Yeah, I haven't read I haven't read a lot of his stuff. I know he was I know he inadvertently caused, or maybe not inadvertently, but he did help to create change in the food packaging industry.
Yeah, the food, Theodore Roosevelt read his book The Jungle, and because he insulted Upton Sinclair within that book, and because of that book, and he basically just like said, oh wow, yeah, this is like, the guy's an idiot, but like I think there's some concerns we should address here. And it was there that we got the Food and Drug Act, basically.
Hmm.
That's why I really respected him, because he actually did make change and he did have good ideas in regards to like productive, safer conditions and stuff like that. I just find it funny that he's more so known for like just being a pure socialist than he is like the guy who did that. Because we were expecting good old Teddy Roosevelt for that, but he was a man of the people. He's a very populist president, and I love him for that a lot.
Yeah. So you've also written stuff called Anarchy.
Yep. Yep, a good old little book called Anarchy
So
that
is it
I'm
about like anarchism? Like, is there like people blowing stuff? Is there a guy in a Guy Fawkes mask in it at all?
no, 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 no. Okay, so Anarchy. Okay, so this was meant to be a Viking like saga type of thing
Oh,
right there.
oh, okay.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
and it was originally, I think I got it from either the Swedish word or the Norwegian word or the Old English word for anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And it was supposed to be about like the chaos of Ragnarok and stuff like that. There was like some stuff about like Gustavus Adolphus fighting giants. I don't know. That I wrote that in a weekend. I was high on drugs when I wrote it. It was crazy shit in every way. I hated it. It was awful. But then I basically rewrote it. It's not a Viking saga anymore.
So you like
If you
woke up one morning, you had a slight headache, and you're just like, and you look at this like you just wrote this weird scroll, and you're like, oh jeez, what was I up to
there was
last night?
yeah, I still have the original drafts. I won't. I don't think I don't think I'll release it because it's a kind of embarrassing. I might show it and read it off for fun because you can tell I was on drugs when I was writing that because there's like a 30-page sex scene in it. It goes on for a while. I use a
30
lot of the
pages?
same
Oh
word.
man.
Yeah, a lot of just the constant word of the word thrusting, 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 thrusting. It was exactly like that, pretty much over and over and over and over again. Essentially, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that's good. I wrote a really bad like Walking Dead fan fiction a long time ago, and I just like reread it. I'm like, good lord, this is awful. So I get what you mean.
Yeah,
Um,
it always happens where you just like you read those old things you used to wrote that are just like, my God, this is like high art. This is like the peak of fiction I ever did. And I always go back to those old things. I always remind myself, okay, you're a garbage writer. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget like how bad you were before. Always improve. And I think people need to understand that too. Like the writing process is just a lot of shit because you don't know what the fuck you're doing most of the time, and that's why you gotta sort of like figure out people who know what they're doing.
yeah, I know I'm writing right
Because
now, and there's days I'm like, you know what, this is pretty good, and then there's other days I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? You know, just telling.
yeah, I have a lot less days like that nowadays with Anarchy in its current state because I'm a lot more confident as a writer. There's certain stuff already I want to fix in the first book, but I know it's just like if I go back, I'm gonna want to fix everything because An artist can never be satisfied with their like product. It's always the case like you have the perfect image, but you gotta understand like you're never going to attain that. You can't ever be satisfied, so you need to be just content, and that's sort of my philosophy of writing a lot of the times,
What's that old
especially
saying? Art is never finished, only abandoned.
yeah, pretty much. They're your little ugly stepchild, so you can go ahead and write something better next time, like not mess up as bad, pretty much. The first book of Anarchy, it is out. I'm trying to get the paperback version out, but Amazon is a bitch. I hate them. I hate everything that they do towards KDP. They have made my life a living hell for the past 7 months, just for like an ISBN number. So I'm trying to hope to get that out so I can just get done with this and be focusing on the second book, which I'm almost done with as well. And yeah, it's a series that's crazy. It's absurd. It's a grim, dark, like really late dark series that has a lot of fucked up shit to it. Lots of like horrible actions being committed. Lots of sex, lots of violence, lots of politicking, lots of like grandiose dialogue, stuff like that. It's a very grim and very depressing series, and I would hardly call it like positive. But I love it. It's my little passion project for my life, pretty much. Because I'm planning to write like at least like 20 plus books for it, essentially,
Oh my
like as
god.
long as it has to be. Yeah,
20? Dude.
yeah. My main inspiration for that was the Gormenghast series by Mervyn Peake. Gormenghast is a series that was originally supposed to be 20 plus books, but only ended at four, and even then, the last book was a novella. Yep, yep.
I
I love that series
I'm
so
actually
much.
hoping to read this next year, or at least the first book, which is like
A good decent amount
hold
of that.
on, this about
Yeah,
like that that right there is like that's maybe a little more because but yeah, there's Titus Groans and Gorman Gast and Titus Alone and
yeah. That series was originally meant to be like 20 books, but of course, sadly, Peake died before he could even get that started. He only managed to get four done. And I always view that as a tragedy, especially when you see like a pulp hack writer like that one guy. I think it's like L.M. Sternrider. I think is what his name is, like Sternrider or something like that. He's written like 20 plus books, and I swear to God, the last 15 you could all summarize in the exact same like plot structure because they are all literally copy pasted garbage. And it's just like, okay, if this guy can do it and Pete can't, okay, I'm gonna try and do it. Like maybe I'll have a burnout moment down the line, but I love this series so much. I love all my characters. I love all the stupid stories. I get to write about dinosaurs fighting dragons with like seven heads and like have like graphic sex scenes. It's like what I always wanted.
that's one of
It's what I
the
always wanted
things
in
that
this in a
sold you
book.
on writing it. You're like, oh yeah, graphic sex scenes. Woo!
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go. Just the beautiful it satisfies like my inner child because I always like notice like there's like not enough books about dinosaurs in the world that are like actually like fun. Like you get Jurassic Park, but it's just like it's bogged down with like human characters and like and emotions. There's no like dinosaurs actually like being cool in that. It's just like, oh, is this sane? Is this like against nature itself? Like I don't care, Crichton. I want to see the dinosaurs fight the velociraptors. All right, I want to see the Spinosaurus and the T Rex fight each other with like 50 of them all at once. And I
Oh
like
jeez.
when they introduced like the dinosaurs joining the military, I was like, oh my god, we're gonna see a dinosaur fight a tank. No, we don't ever get that. We don't get a T Rex like fighting a tank. We get like a bunch of philosophy and like a whole bunch of like commentary on the military academic industrial complex. I don't care. I want to see a T-Rex fight a tank and a fighter jet. That would be the coolest thing ever in existence. And that's this whole point of this series, all right? I wanted to see cyborg dinosaurs fighting demon dinosaurs with like 39 heads and like a giant buff dude who's like a wrestler like snapping their necks at the same time. That'd be like the coolest thing ever. And that's what this whole thing has been like
So
just centered on.
so so that's what you're going for.
Yeah.
I like
And
that.
also sex, but like that's secondary. Dinosaurs is where it's at.
So, like what, or aside from Gorman Guest, like what made you want to like write Anarchy? Is it like I know you said it was like it was kind of like You mentioned Faulkner's, I think, As I Lie Dying, as we were
Eh,
when we
the Sound
talked
of
about it.
Fury.
Or
So
no, The Sound and the Fury. My bad. I haven't
yeah,
read a
As
lot
I
of
Lie
those
Dying though
books.
is great though. That's like that book is also a masterpiece. But I have a lot of books that inspired me to write. But I think I started writing when I was like quite young. I always had like an interest in just like discussing like all these little ideas that go on in my head because I didn't see enough stuff that represented like my imagination. And then I read Faulkner and Pessoa and McCarthy when I was quite young, and they like represented like certain emotions I could never communicate or like explain properly. And I thought I wanted to do that in writing. I tried doing it as a comic, but my hands, I can't keep them steady. So I kind of had to give up that part of my career pretty early on when I realized I couldn't become like the comic book artist essentially. So I just pretty much started writing as much as I could. And basically the whole point with this was it was Dragon Ball Z. That's what inspired me to start writing pretty much. It was like I remember it was me and my friends we were just like discussing like who would win in a fight, an Ozaru or a T-Rex. And we pretty much like it went from there. Like it was just about like Vegeta and Goku's like ancient grandsons or whatever, like fighting each other in like the millions of years in the future. They'd be like super saiyan like ultra gods or some shit like that. It was like stuff like that that drew me into writing because it was just a focus on just like there's not enough cool shit out there. It's all lame and it's all about like nothing I really care about, and it's not done in the way I like. Like Faulkner was able to write about the human mind in a way that made sense to me. Pessoa wrote about depression in a way that made sense to me, and McCarthy was just a great writer with amazing characters and philosophy. And I wanted books like that and like that trifecta. And I wanted something that was just like that in spirit and like character, and exactly like Outer Dark was essentially. Just like
I bought this today, but
yeah,
but also got S.A. Cosby's My Darkest Prayer as well, because I like S.A. Cosby stuff. But
yeah.
yeah, oh sorry, you kind of cut out there. What'd you say?
Oh no, I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say like Harlan Ellison as well. I remember I read like I have no mouth and I must scream. I thought this is fucking awesome. I want to write something like that pretty much.
So you're one of those twisted guys who likes I have no mouth and I must scream.
Yeah, I read way too much fucked up shit as a kid. Now that I really think about it,
But like, I
I
don't mean
remember.
like, but like the story of Anarki. Like, is it like one big story, or is it like
It
different stories
if
in the
you
same world, or like what is it?
well, it's sort of like how Malazan is. Like there is like an overarching story to it within Anarchy. Like there is like a single plot line you can follow that everyone can read about, and like certain stories that continue. But most of it's jumping around continent, kingdom to kingdom, time to time, characters to characters, and analyze them like Against the Day by Thomas Pynchon. How he wrote that book was like focusing on like the scope of the world and the future, and also Jerusalem by Alan Moore, like various decades in time,
I
various
actually
like
have that
points of
up here.
exist.
I haven't
Yeah,
read. I haven't dared touch it yet, but
that
one
book
day.
is yeah, it's a masterpiece. That made me appreciate Alan Moore and his Cross plus 100 run, because he has the best understanding of language, of like entomology and how language develops and how slang forms. Like even words that you think are gibberish in like the future he wrote about in Jerusalem are like they make sense phonetically and they make sense in language dialects and like slang. And I wanted to sort of reflect that type of writing, that type of character development, and that type of history building and world building and lore and language in my own series because like I was inspired by Lord of the Rings and everyone is, but I just
Mhm.
wanted to create this world that was the coolest fucking thing ever. Like my
Right.
universe, I just wanted it like that. All right, I wanted it like Dragon Ball Z with a Game of Thrones like grittiness, a fucking like bleach aesthetic, a lot of like cool dinosaurs and stuff like that. I wanted everything I loved as a kid into like just one giant book with like also like written in like beautiful like prose like James Joyce, Cormac McCarthy, Samuel Beckett, those type of guys basically.
I haven't read James. Or well, no, that's a lie. I've read Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man when I was in early high school because I was kind of in that phase of my life. I was reading about. Also, I was listening to Hosier, if you've ever listened to his music, and
Yeah, yeah.
he mentioned Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna read that. So I did. Um, I liked it. Yeah, I want to read that. It's one of those ones I want to read again at some point. Someday.
Yeah, that book was just the Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man is an absolute masterpiece when it comes to how it's written. But I think Ulysses is like the peak of what literature can be in like so many regards.
Oh,
Just
I thought
like
you were gonna
the
say
beautiful.
Finnegan's Wake is the peak of literature because that's what a lot of people say.
Well, Finnegan's Week is like the peak of like difficult literature. That book is like the blending of like subconscious and conscious reality, and it's like a complexity. And then I hate myself because like I understand like most of it. That's like I feel pretentious for saying that, but like I know like what he's talking about most of the time because I read Irving Welsh, the guy who wrote Trainspotting,
Oh
and
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm already so used to like Irish dialect and like culture and like language and
Have you
how.
seen the Train Spotting movie?
Yeah, I have. I love that movie so much.
Well,
It's
yeah, I do too. But it's one of those. It's kind of like a Clockwork Orange for me. Like I watched the film first, and then I read the book, and it made reading the book easier for me because I got more like this. I had the ear for it already, so
yeah,
I'm like, oh, this
yeah,
is what they're saying. Because I mean, if I'd have done it the opposite, I'd probably been like, what the fuck, you know?
yeah. If you don't know Glasgow or like type of accent and how heavy it can be, like I'm Mexican, I'm already used to like heavy accents, like making like normal English make no sense. So it was pretty easy to like understand like most of what they're saying. Uh, I was that book like it really spoke to me as well because of just like the nature of like addiction and like sexuality, like the gritty urban side that a lot of people tend to ignore. It's like a William S. Burroughs type of story, but it's so authentic and so real in both like movie and book. Like it's just like it's like Iceberg Slim's book Pimp, which
That is a
is like
good
the most
book.
authentic. Yeah, like the most authentic like version you're gonna get on reality, and why like the different type of prose basically like the different way of presenting something because I feel like if those books were written like more competently without like that urban grit to it
You know what
it would have come
I
out as
find
shit.
interesting about like Iceberg Slim stuff is that like you get the sense like he doesn't really feel all that badly about all the terrible stuff he did, but he doesn't want to romanticize it at the same time.
Yeah, that's like the beautiful part about those books. It's like he presents the lower class in like the most authentic sense in that type of like underworld organization, in that he doesn't really feel bad about what he did because he had to go through what he had to live in a type of urban setting. Like I know what it was like for like pimps and like that in that type of environment. It's shit. Everyone gets fucked over at the bottom. Like the world is unfair, and you need to be hard and you need to be like cruel at times to get through it. Yeah, as like a sort of shell. Slim, as a character, I always found like he's either like a sociopath, like down and out, or he's so stoic, like he can contain like his guilt and his emotions to like such an extent like that like he doesn't reveal like his dissympathy or anything like that. But most pimps like they tend to be very like like that. They're charismatic for a reason, and that's why I love his book so much. Is because like it's his voice and it's his character pure and raw. Like he doesn't romanticize and he doesn't like try to like excuse or like forgive himself. He's just like, yeah, I did it. I don't know what you want me to say. It's just how it is essentially.
Yeah, I admittedly I don't watch a lot of like anime and manga, but I do read a lot of like American comics. I cover them on my channel. Like I'm rereading Saga right now, which is a very good
Yeah,
science
Saga's
fantasy.
great.
Saga's great. Yes, it is. I'm rereading it, and I'm also catching up with what I haven't got. I'm catching up to where it is now. Um, I just got to the part where they freed Hazel from prison. So
Yeah, that whole section's great. I love Saga so much. It's the
Will's fat now. It's like
yeah.
good stuff. It's good stuff.
The characters and like the writing and like the realistic paths that go down. It reminds me of Firefly in a lot of ways. You know, and I know there's like Firefly comics out there, but I never found them as good as the show was because I feel like that was just like something that's like it worked so well as like a serial television show in my opinion. The same thing happened with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I love Buffy and I love Angel a lot
So
as
you're a big
shows.
Joss Whedon guy,
I won't say I'm necessarily a Joss Whedon guy. I just love
or
Buffy and I love Angel.
oh,
Yeah.
you like his writing?
I think he has some of the best characters in fiction. The dialogue so at times, but like amazing when it hits. But I think Angel and Buffy are like the best show wise. I think they're horrible as comics because the plot and story of Buffy is like the worst aspect of it. Like it's never something that's been good about Buffy or Angel. It's world building and lore and like it's like overall like story and how things happen. It's shit. It's awful. But the characters are so fucking good. Like I don't even care.
Gotcha.
Up over there.
Sorry, just getting rid of something. Ugh.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, Buffy, the Buffyverse. It's probably my favorite show besides like The Wire, The Sopranos, and
Oh
6
God.
Feet Under. 6 Feet
Sorry, I just
Under.
killed a mosquito.
Yeah, little bastards always gonna run about. But
Um,
yeah,
I also enjoy The Wire and The Sopranos quite a bit. It's good stuff.
yeah. Never got around to 6 Feet Under.
No, not yet. I've heard the
Oh, that
ending's really
show.
weird.
Okay, the ending for 6 Feet Under is like the best ending ever. That it fits the show so fucking well. I love it. It's and the show overall, I think it's like one of the best bits of writing on like existentialism and philosophy, the philosophy of life, and just like how we deal with grief and death and like how we are as people. It's a masterpiece for me personally. When it comes to television, season 4 is kind of terrible, but it has some fucking great character moments. It's just you gotta really bear through the story because the story in that season's awful, and then season 5 is just like a clean palette of just amazing. It's just like season 4 has some issues that's definitely apparent. But it's still one of my favorite shows of all time. Even something like The Wire, which is like peak literary television, has like the weird moments in season 5 that everyone knows about.
Oh, you mean that the fake serial killer thing, which I used to think
Yeah,
is
that
really
whole
stupid.
I get the whole tension with that. I know what they were trying to do. It's just
It felt
mm.
kind of 180-ish to me.
Yeah, especially for certain characters during that arc and plot line. It's just like, why would they do this? They were never like this before. And, some people got flanderized and stuff like that. It sucked to see at times, but like it was still like a pretty great season overall. Especially with Omar. My God, Omar is just a fucking amazing character beginning to end. And like such like a beautiful unity of like character, story, plot, and themes overall. I think he's just like one of the
I thought
best
you were gonna
characters in
say
fiction.
theme. I was about to say yeah. I was gonna say
Yeah,
theme, but you said it first.
yeah.
Um, Kind of makes me surprised. We were talking the other day that you don't like Joe Abercrombie because I kind of feel the First Law is sort of like fantasy's version of The Wire.
Yeah. My hatred for Joe Abercrombie, it's not as hard as it is now. Like I don't have a major hate boner as big as then, but it's it's like a lingering like flubby like erection. It's like barely getting up there. Beautiful imagery here for your heads. I was disappointed with like the second book. I was fine with the first book. I found some of the dialogue and like scenes were a bit repetitive, but like I thought like it's a character center thing. It's fine. Second book way too repetitive for my liking, and I didn't enjoy it. Third one was fine ish. I never cared about West as a character, so I found him to be one of the worst characters in the series overall. Like everyone knows what like the main ones everyone love. It's either Logan Nine Fingers, Glocta, or just Saul. Like and just Saul is like the third least common because he's like such like the most like traditional character arc in the entire series. I'm still reading through Age of Madness. I think it's a better step up, but I found out like a lot of like the characterization and some like dialogue my main gripe with Abercrombie. I find him a bit too into like roughish dialogue at times that I find it to be a bit juvenile. I know, which is weird coming from me. Like I'm like one of the most juvenile people out there, but
Bro,
it's
you were
just
just
like,
talking about dinosaurs and sex. Like, come on,
yeah, I know.
dude. Come on.
I have no place to judge there, but it's just like the it's just the constant just like oh fucking shit fuck kite like fucking that all over the fucking place. Like it's just like calm the fuck down a bit, all right, my guy. It's just like again, like I have no place to judge. I just like there's like I don't know, there's like a certain thing I have for cursing. Like there's a difference between like how The Sopranos does it where I feel like it's authentic, and then Welsh, and then like Joyce with his like whole like sex scenes and like Ulysses and stuff like that, versus like what Abercrombie does. It's just that like at times it feels like the prose and the dialogue is a bit tertiary and a bit mishandled for me personally. And overall, I think fantasy kind of has that issue at times. Like the dialogue tends to be almost forgiven for being bad at times. Like it's not as bad as it was during like the 90s, like during Erickson's times, where like everyone spoken like horrible, like high fantasy jargon that made no sense if you knew how high old English worked. But it's just like oh my God. Sometimes it feels like we gotten like a bit different and now it's like too modernized. Like I'm gonna call him out. Sanderson's dialogue, I think, is either really good, depending on the scene, or like absolutely makes me want to kill myself with how bad it can get at times. It- it's just
You
like,
know, admittedly, I've never read Brandon Sanderson, and from what I've heard, it doesn't sound like he'd be my thing, really. I was actually talking about this with Epic Tales last night. Um,
yeah,
I just don't think he'd be like I don't think he'd be the type of author I enjoy. And it's nothing like against him, and from what I've seen like on his YouTube channel, he seems like a cool guy. But
yeah.
you know,
He seems
um,
like a perfectly nice person, and I don't hate him or anything like that. Uh, it's just his writing at times is like really bad. It's like okay, I liked the book Mistborn well enough. I liked it like decently. I hate the other two books with a passion. I think they're some of the most boring dreck I've ever read in my life. But the first book, I kind of like the character Kelsier, except for when they try to make him have jokes, and the jokes and the witty comments are like, oh my God, like what? Like okay, like to give Sanderson some credence, like he admits that like he's a bad writer when it comes to emotion, dialogue, charming, wit, story at times, plotting. It makes me really think, why does anyone like him? But whatever. It's just like that was awful, like the dialogue and like the punches and stuff like that. And it's just like it's worse than YA at times, where it's just like the dialogue is like too like either melodramatic or it's too just like it's cringe. It's just cringy, like really fucking cringe inducing. Like I don't have any like words to describe it beyond just like it makes me want to wince in pain because I can tell he's trying so hard, but it's all just like dad jokes and like people just give it a pass because it's like him. And like I have no hate towards him. I would just be a lot less harsh if people didn't act like he was like the new Tolkien when Tolkien is just like a far more like competent and able writer than Sanderson is in a lot of regards, even at his worst.
yeah, I get what you mean. He's no
Yeah.
Cormac McCarthy or
Oh
Alan
yeah.
Moore or Ray
I know.
Bradbury.
Yeah. It's like the difference between that and Garth Ennis. Like I love Garth Ennis a lot.
I
I
do
think
as
he gets
well.
too much. Yeah, I think he gets too much shit from people. Like I think the Boys comic gets way too much hate nowadays, especially because like people make it like the cool thing to hate. But I think he just gets like too much flack for being an edgelord. Like he certainly is. Like he's definitely edgy. Like he knows he's edgy and he loves it because he's Irish, Scottish. Like he just loves having fun and stuff like that. But I love Crossed a lot. I love the Cross comics so much,
I like the
especially on his
ones that
runs.
he writes. Some of the
Yeah,
ones that other
except
people have written, not so
yeah,
much.
they vary in quite. Like I think Simon Spurrier is like probably the other best writer. That and Moore's run on Crossed. Like those two were pretty
I
great.
haven't actually read Moore's
Uh,
run.
yeah, Moore's Cross Plus 100 I think was really great. Cross Plus 100 Mimic is pretty mixed. I'm not trying to call it garbage. It's like it ended way too soon because Avatar Press is
Have
like
you read like Preacher and like his
oh yeah, I
Punisher
love
and
Preacher. I love Preacher and I love Punisher Max so fucking
Good
much.
stuff,
I
right?
love,
Yeah, I love it
yeah,
too.
Punisher
It's
Max is like right where it's fucking at. I love that run so much. It's
yo,
like
dude.
the best version of Punisher, like bar none for me.
Oh yeah, I
And
mean
my
Jason
boy,
Aaron's Max run was really good, but Garth Ennis was just fucking so good.
dude, Barracuda was like just like awesome in every way. I love him. Just like that character's like peak Ennis right there. Just like an absolute gore hound in every single way. He's just like so great. That's what I
Yeah,
love about like
he's a
Garth.
freaking maniac.
Yeah. That's what I love about Garth so much. Just like he has like these absolutely insane characters who just like absolute monsters. He's not afraid to make them absolutely horrible. Like obviously the Butcher from the boys. Like
Oh
he's just
yeah, I
like one of
love
those like
Butcher. He's so good.
yeah, Butcher in the comics I love so much. I think he's like one of like the best characters in like comics like period. And I love the boys a lot more in the comics especially. Like they have some great characterization in there. And to not to be completely like shitting on the show or anything like that, I think Anthony Starr has a pretty good Homelander compared to the comics boys, but they're two different characters with two different intentions character wise. So not gonna go there too much. Just overall, Garth, his Hellblazer run is beautiful, like legitimately like one of the most beautiful bits of comic book writing out there. Like wonderful sense of character, themes, motifs, art, just like overall vibes on humanity. I own like the mega omnibus of that, and it's just wonderful
I
all
still need to
around. It was
get
like
to
some
that. His
yeah, definitely give it a
Hellblazer.
go. It's like some of the best like writing he did before DC fired him back in the day.
Before he did
Explain.
Preacher.
Yeah, and Preacher masterpiece. It's absolutely a masterpiece of
I
comic book
love
writing.
Preacher. It's so good.
Yeah, it's not Garth that is most edgy, and I know that's why probably like it's more popular for him. But it's just like it's such a beautifully written like whole thing, and I just love the characters in that. It's a wonderful little bit of like just fiction writing from him.
Oh yeah,
And,
so many great characters like Jesse, Cassidy, Jesus Hassad,
yeah.
uh, the Saint of Killers,
Oh,
Hairstar,
the Saint of Killers.
the
That is like the
sexual
most.
investigators, like so many, like TC and whatever the fuck
Yeah,
the guy who likes to fuck chickens.
I know.
Horseface. It's oh man, so good.
It's so grand. I love it so much. The only that's why like I've been so much like an advocate for like considering comic books art because like over in Europe and France like it's more accepted for comics to be art over there.
Hmm.
Except like in America it's like more so like superhero comics. That's what people typically associate them with. And that's a shame because like there's like such a wide branch of like comics and how they operate. Like Requiem, Vampire Knight, which is like one of the best comics ever made. Stuff like Alejandro Jodorowsky's like the Meta Barons and
I still need to
Call.
read like the Inkle and the Meta
Yeah,
Barons from him.
yeah,
So
Meta
I'm a
Barons
big
is
Moebius
amazing.
fan, so yeah.
Definitely give it a go. It's those are like some of like his best comics. El Topo was decent as well, but I think Jodorowsky like his love and fascination for comics is like just beautiful. Argentinian comics in general are just like such a niche thing like for some reason, but
They're very
it's
niche
just
tastes. That's for certain. I mean,
oh yeah.
my favorite comic writer is Alan Moore, of
Oh yeah,
course, because
more.
it's just
He's, he's so good, just so fucking good. I'm so like there's like no words to like, describe it. Like more even at his worst, like he's just so fucking grand, and like he's so like viscerally like creative in like art authenticity and true like proper like anti-corporatism and just like overall like politics and like beliefs and like discussion of ideas and themes. Just such a fucking great writer all around. What did you think of Necronomicon? Because I know like some people hate it and consider it his worst.
I like it. His book not Promethea, Providence. I enjoyed that. I thought
Yeah,
that was an interesting kind of reimagining of the H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu mythos.
yeah. I was gonna ask you, what did you think of the fish scene that everyone hates
Oh
so
God.
much? That-
Yeah, that is not one of my favorite things he's done, but it's.
Everyone, it's like everyone's like breaking point for him. It's like, oh yeah, I love Alan Moore. I
by
didn't
breaking
really like
from
that
hell.
scene though.
I couldn't get through from hell. It was just like no, I tapped out. You know, I'm like, oh man, I'll
Yeah,
try it
that
again
scene,
at
that
some
scene.
point.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable in a lot of ways. It's just like, damn, more you're going some places there. For like Moore in general, like he's such a fucking great writer, and I think more people need to have like his understanding of like dialogue and like overall like characterization because he was like a one of a kind gem. Same for Warren Ellis. I think Ellis though he's like kind of a I kind of hate him as a person, but I like a lot of his comics
Yeah,
at times.
yeah. Transmet's one of my favorite comics. Have you ever read
Yeah,
Transmetropolitan?
I did. I
Oh,
read
so
No
good.
Heroes. That one that was an obscure one, and also read Black Gas as well. Those ones were like
Super
absolute.
God
Yeah.
fell. I still need to get through Planetary.
What was
Um,
that one comic? I think it was like called the Unfunnies. I think it was what it's called. I think he wrote that one
oh yeah,
specifically.
no, I think that was Mark Millar who wrote that.
It was either
Um,
Mark Miller or it was Ellis. It was one of those two because I know that I read that. That was some fucked shit. I'm glad I read that before like it got like out of print, out of copy from Avatar Press because that was like some of like the most uncomfortable, like horribly like satirical things I think I've ever read. It's just fucked from beginning to
I
end.
mean,
It's
I
just
still love
it's not even,
Ellis's work, even if he has disappointed me these last couple of years with
yeah.
some of his personal choices. Uh,
Yeah. Oh yeah, did you ever read? Did you ever watch the Castlevania show by any chance? Like, I know he.
yeah,
I
I
think
saw
he
the
worked.
first season. I enjoyed it. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, The Last of Us best video game adaptation." I'm like, "Yo, Castlevania, bro."
Okay, so I'm just gonna say this here: Castlevania season one should have probably stayed at Castlevania season one. The rest of the seasons pretty garbage, pretty awful, especially with what they did to Death. I was so mad what they did to Death. It's not even funny what they did to him, my boy. Fucking making him talk like a Cockney bastard. What a horrible creative decision there. That made me just so mad.
Um,
Oh my god.
yeah, I also like Robert Kirkman. I love Invincible.
I fucking oh my god. I can't believe I never brought up Invincible. I fucking love Invincible. That is like probably like besides like Savage Dragon, I think that's like
Dude,
and
I
Spawn.
have the freaking compendiums right there. Like
Yeah,
those
same here. I have
fucking
all
love
three of
them.
the companions over there on my
Oh,
shelf.
fucking I love it. I love Invincible.
Yeah.
I love the show too. It's really good. It's like
Yeah, I can't and the fact that Kirkman's gonna be expanding on like the Hell plot lines and stuff he couldn't add into the comics, it's just like it makes me so fucking excited.
yeah, I know.
It's
I'm
just
like,
like
dude,
just
it's so good. That first
yeah,
season
I
was
hope
like,
that
oh my god.
one thing I hope they get have less of is Amber, because
Oh my
I
god.
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
less of her, please, and
yeah.
give us more Battle Beast. I hope they do
Dude,
that sort of
bro, I want to see that Thrag and Battle Beast
oh,
fight
I
so
want that
bad.
I want that fight in full like anime time. Okay, I want it like Goku versus Frieza length of like extended plotline and action. All right, I want it like gloriously animated and
Oh my
everything.
god, yes, dude! And in the fucking Battle Beast cape. We're spoiling the shit out of this,
Oh, I don't I
but
don't care.
we're spoiling. I don't even care anymore. We're
Dude,
spoiling
dude,
the
dude,
shit
dude.
out of it.
The hundred panel headbutt against Conquest.
Oh my god,
Oh,
dude! Don't even
dude,
get me started, dude. Like, oh,
dude, both of those fights are gonna be so awesome. I can't wait for
oh
that to
my
see them
god!
animated.
Like, don't like. I'm just gonna turn into a fanboy in like 5 minutes. Like,
Dude, I love Invincible almost as much as I love Spawn, and I hope like this means like with the Image comic stuff like becoming more
I'll
popular and
admit, I think
mainstream.
Spawn's kind of like goofy. Like, it kind of. Maybe it's just not for me, but I saw the animated show they did while back. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I just want to see someone adapt Momon. Like he's one of like the best villains in the comics for Spawn,
Mm.
especially like the post Lightfield runs. But it's just like I love some of the stuff they do with Spawn at times, and I really want to see like the Mammon and like just like Spawn's like absurd like multiverse like Hellfire attack. Like I would love to just see that happen on screen.
Yeah, I also have League of Extraordinary Gentlemen over here, which
Uh,
I thought was
mm,
pretty good. I enjoyed it,
yeah,
but doesn't
yeah,
have the
not more is
punch.
best.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I was about to say doesn't have some of the punch of my favorite Moore works, but still
Yeah,
good.
you can tell it's like it's very Jerry Cornelius a bit inspired. Speaking of which, of Jerry Cornelius, like yeah, Moorcock, I think he had a pretty great comic book run, even back in during like the acid like era '90s kind of like vibes they had going on there. I liked the reboot they were doing with the comics right there over in France. But
Of
I definitely
Elric.
think like yeah for Elric,
Have you read the Elric French comics?
yeah, those are
Oh my
beautifully
gosh,
drawn.
the illustrations in those are just so good.
Mm,
Oh,
amazing. Just some like the finest just like detail and like writing and like it's such a love letter to Elric and I adore that. Like Elric was always like a series that's more popular in Europe than it is over here in the West because like how like difficult it is at times to advertise it, especially like because it's very pulpy. Like I don't think Moorcock is just like as bad as a writer as he says he is, but I don't think he's like as good as a writer as people say he is. He's a mixed bag of like he can either be like the greatest like pulp writer ever and write like something cool, or you can very clearly tell as in like he needed money at the time kind of era what he was doing like during with Elric most of the time. I think Corum is like and Hawkmoon and some Jerry Cornelius stories like were probably like him in his peak. London is definitely his magnum opus. That book is beautifully written in every regard.
I mean, Mother London. I've heard of that one.
Yeah, that book is shit. It's his magnum opus. You can tell it's like it's a story from someone that's frustrated with the decline of London, especially during the punk culture and stuff like that. And he has some interesting ideas, definitely
I
about like
actually learned
religion.
about Moorcock from Alan Moore because apparently Alan Moore was a big fan of his.
Oh yeah, and so many comic book authors are like inspired by Moorcock because like everyone's read as comics and like his Robert E. Howard kind of era.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact like he inspired like some of like the best like comic books about the within the spy genre. Like I think it was called like Irredeemable. No, not Irredeemable. That's another like comic book series. I forget what the name of it was. It was I don't know. I think it was either number 7 or number 13, which was like a James Bond but like a Jerry Cornelius twist. Like a lot of like razzle-tazz kind of like vibe like the spy genre that
Yeah.
was getting like popular during James Bond that type of thing. It was one of my favorites personally. It was I and I'm less harsh on Jerry Cornelius nowadays, but I
I haven't
had
read Jerry Cornelius.
yeah, the thing about Jerry
I've heard
Cornelius
it's
is
probably his
that
weirdest stuff.
oh yeah, it's cheesy, lazy, and like has some way too on the nose like political commentary from Moorcock, and he tries having like this grand old like theme at the end, and it just doesn't work because Jerry Cornelius is such it feels like it feels confused. The whole thing is so experimental and weird, like even for Moorcock, and it
I've
just
heard
comes off as a
Gloriana's
bit
really good.
yeah, it
Everyone's
is.
like,
It is
dude,
also really
Gloriana's like his best one.
yeah, definitely. Moorcock, like he's a mixed bag, pretty much.
Yeah, I
What
would
I
agree
can
with that.
say,
I like Elric despite myself. I do think there's some good writing in there, even though it does have that kind of Howardian style in there. Because I know he's Now I love Robert E. Howard. I have the Del Rey Conan stuff over here.
oh yeah, I for as much as like Moorcock wants to critique Robert E. Howard's the better like prose writer for me, and also just like overall like he's like one of the best like pulp writers ever for me. Like I know
I
Stephen
agree.
King and everyone likes to talk shit on him, but like Howard like he has as much literary value as Lovecraft did. And I think like because he wrote pulp and wrote stuff for money doesn't mean like it makes him any less worse off for his creative pursuit or anything like that. He was a good writer, and he deserves to be more appreciated. That and Cole and Conan are some of like the most badass motherfuckers ever. The fact that man had like 5 like badass like main characters in a row, just like oh my god, I'm jealous of like his ability to just like create some stone cold badasses. Like Cole's like by this axe I rule, just like oh, just like
Isn't that
so
a name of
fucking
the?
cool.
Isn't that a name of one of the stories, or is that like his creed?
That's both his creed and the name of the story where he says that specifically. That's how badass he was. Just like by this axe I rule. Just
Yeah,
like fucking
no.
shatters laws. Just like
Yeah,
there's
no. I
no laws
mean,
here.
yeah, Howard really loved to be melodramatic, especially in like the Conan I read. I'm like, oh man, this is over the top, and I love it.
Yeah. And that's like the thing. Like I know people critique like the dialogue and like sometimes it's prose and story beats, but like, it's pulp. It's very pulpy and it's very much like it's having fun. It's more or less based on neo-romanticism, so it wasn't focused on being realistic or anything like that. It was meant to be like a high caricature, but it's
Mm.
still like it's such like a fun series, and it's also has some pretty low lows, but it's still great. I love it a lot. It's just
But yeah, no. Um, yeah, I have a bunch of comics here. I have like Sweet Tooth, which is one of my favorites.
yeah.
I have Deadly Class, which I still need to finish. Fucking love Deadly Class. They're putting out an
That series.
omnibus, and I bought all the freaking trades for it. I'm kind of mad about it, but whatever.
Yeah, speaking of pulps, I was rereading one of my old favorite horror comics, Cry of Dawn and Lady Death. I was reading those ones for like memory's sake, because those comics were like some of like the most like well they were meant for teenage boys. Was definitely the whole books were just like about sex, like horror, violence.
Oh
It was
Lord.
like yeah, it was based like on heavy metal designs, that type of stuff like that. It was cheesy. It was lame a lot of the times, but it's just like it's meant to be like cool over the top badassery with like a hot chicks in like very skimpy clothing with some philosophy thrown in every once in a while. Especially back in the original runs of Cry of Dawn. And also Evil Ernie. I love Evil
I've
Ernie a
heard of
lot. That
Evil
that is like
Ernie.
peaks,
Yeah.
yeah, splatter gore right there.
Oh Lord.
That series is absurd, but I love it because of just
Well,
how
I'm
like
guessing you've read Avatar Press because you mentioned Crossed earlier, but they also have some pretty nasty stuff.
oh yeah, I read Black Gas. I read Uber. I love Uber. I love Uber so much. Like whoever's idea was it to make Nazis with superpowers fighting Super Saiyan Russians and
Oh my
Americans and
god.
Japanese
I've heard.
is
I read Uber some years ago, and I remember I enjoyed it. I need to read that again.
yeah, it's on hiatus right now, unfortunately, because Avatar Press ran into bankruptcy and they're kind of in a weird like limbo state of like financial ruin. So we don't really know what's going on there. But like I love a lot of their indie publishing right there. I just hope they get their shit together because I want more from them. I need more Uber.
Yeah, I'm more of like a Image and Dark Horse guy, so I'm probably like a normie in terms of like, creator-owned comics.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult field to scour through. Like I read Monstrous. I liked Monstrous because the art was really good, but a lot of its dialogue is like,
Oh, I really like
hmm.
Monstrous because I like the pacing.
Yeah,
You
it has a
know?
lot of great pacing. A lot of like the art is beautiful as well. Like
Oh
it
yeah, the
has
art's
some.
great. I need to catch up on that.
Yeah,
But
I just had some issues like some of the characters and like some of the dialogue at times. But other than that, it's a pretty great series. It's like why I love indie publishing so much because of what it can bring towards like these type of people who can't really tell these stories in the mainstream.
you read
Either because like
read any Conan
comics nowadays,
comics?
it's like
Oh,
superheroes are nothing pretty much. Like it's just how it goes in America. Like with France and Argentina and like Europe in general, like it's more open-minded over there typically when it comes to how they operate.
have you read Oh damn it, just slipped my
Can't
mind.
remember.
What? I don't remember. I'll have to look at the footage later and I'll text it to you. Yeah, I did review Murder Falcon yesterday, and I was telling Epic Tales about it, and because Epic Tales is like, oh yeah, I wanna read some of those comics you're talking about. Have you read Murder Falcon?
Murder Falcon's fucking great. I love it so much.
Ah, yeah, I know, man. Right? It's so good. It's so good. Jack Black
There's
for the movie. That's all I'm saying.
yeah.
Jack
I
Black
fucking
as Murder Falcon. Make it happen, people.
I
Like,
know. There's so many fucking great comics out there. The early 2000s especially like I that was like definitely the age of like counterculture and like edgy like shit in there. Like I remember Body Bags. Body Bags, I don't know how I feel about it, especially for some artists like decision about a creative thing. But I fucking love the series so much. It's like so over the top, like gore, splatter, and like fucked up. It's great. I love it.
yeah, I also have the Goon, which I hope to read this Halloween.
The
And
Goon's pretty good. Also the Ice Cream Man horror comic series. That's
I
also
need
pretty
to
great.
keep reading it because I read the first volume and I really liked it, and
Yeah,
I need to keep up with it.
It's like the Sandman, except I say a bit better at times, like in terms of horror. I like Sandman well enough, but you know,
Fucking
I
love
have some issues
Sandman.
like Gaiman at times. Yeah,
Fucking love it. I won't like threaten you, so you're good. But I love the Sandman.
yeah.
Um,
It's just some issues I have with Gaiman at times with his writing decisions, but I tend to love most of like the Sandman stories, especially the art and the paneling. It's like the peak of like comic books in a lot of ways. I don't think it's what makes them art. I think that's stuff from like Yasser Padre or like something like that. Like like stuff like the sky over the Louvre. A lot of stuff like that from like in the French area.
you read
As well as from,
have you read like manga? Like have you read like Monster from Naoki Urasawa?
I was trying to not bring up manga. Yeah, I read way too much fucking manga in my life. That's why I sort of like Inyo Asano's like Oisami Pum Pum, Monster, a lot of Urasawa stuff. I read Berserk, obviously. I read Vagabond, which I'm mixed on. I'm trying to reread
Pluto.
that recently.
Read Pluto. What you think Pluto?
I fucking love Pluto so fucking
Yeah, it
much.
was really good, wasn't it? Yeah, no.
Yeah, I love Billy Bats. I love 20th Century Boys. I love so many of his stuff right there. I love fucking uh the Me and the Devil Blues. I think that's like a masterpiece of manga right there, and I hate that it's so niche. I love Rainbow. I love like fucking Berserk, Fist of the North Star, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, stuff like that. I was a fan of One Piece for a while, and then Wano happened, and now I hate it. So I'm not too happy.
I have a buddy who's obsessed with One Piece. I'm like, my guy, One Piece is so old it could have its own kids. Like, come on, man. No, I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I'm ready for that.
Yeah, it stays good for a good bit, and then it hits to Wano, and then it just goes to shit, and it is just never recovers
Also,
since
the
it's.
art just looks really weird and bouncy, and I don't like it. I'm like, this
Oh
is
yeah,
weird. I don't like.
that
It
type of
makes me
style.
really
It's
uncomfortable.
not for everyone. Yeah, I think you'd like something like Fist of the North Star mainly. Fist of the North Star is like the manliest fucking comic book series like ever made.
My uncle loves the movie of Fist of the North Star. I'm like, I
The
watched it.
animated one or the live action
The
one?
animated one.
Oh, thank God! I hope no one watches the live action one they released back in the '80s. That I love Fist of the North Star so much. It's so fucking macho. It's great.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's what I saw. It was pretty goofy. It's goofy stuff.
Oh yeah, people explode when someone punches someone. Yeah, that happens a lot in that series. But the main dude, the main character, Raul, he's like the most badass character in existence. He's my favorite character in existence. He's the greatest character in fiction. I love him. Hold
Yeah.
on, I'm gonna send you a picture of him, and then you could probably like try to edit it into the video or something. Cause
Oh
like
Lord.
he's
Just.
yeah. Let me show you. He's so fucking great. Let me go ahead and just look him up.
Yeah, I'm more of like an American comics guy, but I don't mind manga. Like I've read like Death Note and Urasawa though. Yeah, Urasawa has kind of set up a high standard for me.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, this
and
guy looks very manly. I must say.
yeah,
Look at those toned
he's
muscles.
look. If he was based off Rutger Hauer, if you can believe that, from
Oh
Blade
my
Runner.
god, from Blade Runner.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's based off Frank Frazetta's art. The artist for This is North Star based him
Oh
off
my
Frank Frazetta.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
Frank
and
Frazetta,
Conan the
man.
Barbarian specifically. A lot of his stuff right there.
Man,
It's like you can tell a lot of the time. It's so great. I love it. It's so manly and so like
it's so
emotional. It,
manly. Yeah. I like how you,
mainly, dude.
I like how you
Oh yeah,
describe it
there's
like
another there's
that.
another great series. I love the manly era of anime. Stuff like Captain Harlock.
Before all the weird anime girl shit everyone likes to make fun of. Oh,
Dude, you have to read Oyaji. Oyaji, like that. This has been my manual for being a good dad. Like in general, Oyaji is literally just about like a badass manly dad. Look at this man.
what is this? He looks like a. Oh god, this guy's terrifying. I would be like running the other way on the street if I saw this dude. He looks like a fucking.
he, he is the greatest dad ever. I
Looks
love
like a
him so
fucking
much.
serial killer, man. I don't know.
Look at. Hold on, I think I got another one here. Ah, no, wait, I just reposted that. Hold on. It didn't save. I didn't save. Hold on, let me get this other one. This has been my meme image for a good while.
Oh Lord.
Let me show you. There we go. It should be coming up right now. Come on. No, 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 no. Why are you doing that? There we go.
Oh man. But yes, you enjoy Monster, I'm guessing. That's
Oh
a
yeah, I loved Monster quite a bit. I hate some of the pacifist aspects of that series at times, but I love it so fucking much. It's a great series
oh
in terms of like
jeez, look at
themes
this
and characters.
fucking guy.
Yeah, absolute monster. I love him.
He looks like he's
He's
about to like
just
murder everybody.
it's an absolutely beautiful and sweet story. I definitely recommend to read it. It made me cry by the end. Oh yeah, Space Pirate Cobra. That series is great. Go 13, Baki the Grappler. Lots of manly manga out there
That's a
compared to like
manly
the usual
manga
stuff.
out there.
Oh yeah, dude, you have to read Space Pirate Cobra. That series is awesome. Like it's so freaking great. Go 13 also. That went on for 50 years. Like it's
Oh my
older than like
god. 50?
yeah,
Oh.
yeah. It only ended because the manga author died, sadly.
Oh my
Yeah, but
god.
yeah, it's like the longest running like manly manga out
But
there.
that's the thing, like,
Besides, like
you shouldn't take like 50 freaking years to write
well,
something, but
the whole thing with it is that it was short stories basically, and it appeared specifically. It started because of a James Bond comic book they're releasing over there in Japan for a release, basically. And the character of Golgo 13 basically fought James Bond in the manga. That was like the whole plot of it. And then from there, it was like short stories, like Lone Wolf and Cub, which is also great. Lone Wolf and Cub is like one of the best
I
manga out
tried
there.
reading that last year and then I kind of stopped and I actually want to go back and read it again at some point.
Yeah, it's a very short story basic series. Like it's focused more so on like the stories that happen in it rather than like an overarching thing. It's just like badass old dude samurai goes around and kills people and gives like life lessons. That's pretty much it. And Golgo 13 is badass dude with the world's greatest penis has sex with women and
What the
murders evil
fuck?
people.
I
I'm
gotta
not even
look.
joking on that, by the way.
I
Like
gotta
they
look
literally
this up now.
look up Golgo 13.
Oh
It's
man.
literally in his biography that he has a really good penis. Not even joking.
Oh, dude. 1968 to present. Oh, God, this man is crazy. How did he not die before? He's
It's such an awesome series. I love it with all my heart.
mm. There was one I remember watching a long time ago, back when I was kind of like, oh yeah, anime's goofy. It's about this guy who like fights evil with his nose hair. He fights like he fights like an evil bald like organization with his nose hair, and it was just
I know which one you're actually talking about. That's Bo 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 Bo. That's
yeah,
literally just
that
the
one.
name of
Yeah,
this.
that's it. I'm like, I
Yeah,
know it's like a weird. It's not Dead Demons Dead Destruction because that's
all right.
something
That's
else.
that's Inio Asano's whole thing right there. Yeah,
but but
it's yeah. Bo 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 Bo. It's a parody on like the manly series of like anime around then. So it's making
I
fun of
remember
that
watching it and
specifically.
I'm just like, man, this is great. Like I love
Yeah.
this. Like they
Well,
want
you
to
know,
shave his hair and then like, he's like, no, he wants to stop the evil ones with his nose hair. I'm like,
I
what
know
is this?
it's hilarious. It's one of my favorite parody series from Japan. That and Sakagake Otokojuku, which is basically about it's about a bunch of buff 17-year-olds that get sent to a school to become manly men. And then it was a parody of like, a manly manga around that time, but then it
Uh
became an actual like manly series, like trying to teach values to kids and stuff like that.
huh.
And it's so good, dude. It's like the manliest manly thing ever. Like you have a manly man who manly man's a manly man in a contest of manliness. I'm not even joking. Like an actual scene in the series. You're like, let us see which one of us manly's the other man. Prove to me that you are but a man. It's just like that type of stuff over and over and over again. And it's hilarious. It's a parody, yeah, but it has like some like the unbelievably like coolest characters in fiction. One dude has to fight this guy with magnets, right? That's like his whole power. And so what he ends up doing is he ends up stabbing himself through the gut and using his own blood to stop the magnet powers. And he ends up grabbing the dude who was using the powers and rips off his head from
Oh my
behind
god.
and then just covers himself in blood to like punch out his heart. He didn't need to do the last part. He just did it to be cool, and it's like so violent and gory. I'm just like, this is for kids. Why don't you do this for kids? I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I
Jesus.
mean, I tend to like more like grounded anime, like Monster, Cowboy Bebop, Death Note. Though I will admit, Death Note does get a little convoluted at the end, a little bit.
Death Note peaked with L, and then it kind of never recovered after L. That's pretty much the best way to put it.
The ending's really good though. I like the ending.
Oh, the ending is really great. I think it's like one of the best like thematic endings you could have for a character like L and Light. It's very beautifully well done. If I love Death Note a lot. It earns its like respect and like admiration from people. Same from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I really like that series quite a bit, especially because like characters like Roy Mustang and like Raph, like it's just like such like badass characters from that series.
I remember I tried watching Attack on Titan, but it was hard for me to kind of take it seriously because the big like naked titans. I'm like, okay, I can't do this.
Honestly, I know nothing about Attack on Titan. I watched the first couple of seasons, I read the manga, and then I got bored and I stopped. That's like my experience with it. I can't give any opinions whatsoever. Beyond, I just got bored. It's one of my it's just one of the series I just could never get back into. I was just way too bored after a certain plot twist towards the end. I know people hate the ending for that. I can't comment on it. I have no idea what's happening in that series. All I have is just hearsay, so I'm not going to say anything because I legitimately don't know what happens. So yeah, it's one of those series I'm not too fond of nowadays, so I don't really care for it. Uh, I love Toriko as well. Toriko is also like another manly series. That
There's
series is like
also another anime. It's about this guy. It's called like Mushishi, I think.
Mushishi.
Yeah, it's about this guy who wanders around and he helps people with this weird like goo. I really enjoyed
Yeah,
that one.
yeah, I know what that series. That series is also pretty great. It's
I
very
think
very mellow, very calm. That was actually inspired by another one of my favorite one of my favorite anime series ever, Mononoke. Mononoke is like about an exorcist who goes around exorcising demons, basically, and that series is beautifully drawn. It has like beautiful like divulsions like Japanese culture and ethics and stuff like that. It's a really great series. I definitely recommend it. Not Princess Mononoke by Ghibli. I mean, it's literally just called Mononoke
also like
anime.
Ghost in the Shell too, the movie.
Oh,
I
oh yeah. I liked most of the Ghost of the Shell stuff. I think some of the animes are either really awful or like decent character writing wise, but like have some weird animation. But that's pretty much how my most opinions go with Ghost in the Shell. It's a mixed bag at times.
Yep. Sorry, I was replacing one of my Jeff Lemire comics since I was thinking about it.
Oh, did you ever watch Ninja Scroll by any chance?
Oh, the Lego one?
No, no, not Ninjago, Ninja Scroll.
Oh, no.
Uh Ninja Scroll. That series is like peak like 90s. I can't let my mom know I'm watching this like VHS movies from back then. It's so like gory and like sex filled and like uncomfortable with like a lot of weird rape scenes, but it's so
I don't want my
fucking
mom walking
awesome.
in like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
Dude. There's this one character that's immortal.
oh,
that,
jeez.
he's literally just immortal, and he has like cyborg robot hands, and he just wails in this one character for like a good like 30 minutes, and it's like so goddamn good. It's like the gore, the action, like the violence in it. It's like it's amazing to watch. It's one of my favorite like anime things, and it sucks because there was a TV show based off a manga, and both are pretty garbage. So that's what
Oh,
kind of sucks about it. Yeah, it's just one of those anime movies that only works well as one of them, in my personal opinion, without like much missing there.
yeah. I mean,
uh,
I've seen Akira, the anime. I don't. I think it is a bit paced, but that animation is so good.
It's amazing. I love Akira. I love the manga as well.
I only
Uh,
read the first
I also
volume of the
love
manga, and I liked it, but I need to keep going.
yeah. Also, Perfect Blue was also pretty great, as well as Paprika. I really love those two quite a bit.
I
They're
own
just
those. Haven't seen
beautifully
them yet.
surreal. Yeah, definitely watch Paprika. That was like it's sort of like a dream within a dream kind of movie. It's really like
Oh,
surreal
it's
and
like
very like out there.
Inception.
Ugh. Yeah, it's like
I
the
heard
common thing
Inception
for like a lot
might
of
have
people.
ripped off that movie.
I know that's a common like little theory out there. I don't know if there's been any confirmation for that, but it's a common thing I hear. Maybe Nolan heard of it, maybe he didn't. He tends to wear his sources on his hand and his sleeve, so I'm not sure. Can't really say. And speaking of which, I want to get your thoughts on something else real quick.
What? 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 What?
Since I don't think it's
What?
good
What?
old Germ, George R. R. Martin. What do you think of good old him
Oh,
and
Gurm.
everything he's
Oh,
been doing recently?
GRRM. George R. R. Martin. I do enjoy Game of
Yeah.
Thrones, and I do think Sand Kings is an excellent story. Um, from him. I am kind of mad he hasn't finished it yet, which makes me even more mad that he's probably not going to finish it. Because homeboy's getting old. But I enjoy him. I do have some issues with his style. For one, I think he goes on too long. But yeah, I like his stuff. He's
What
got
do you
some
think of the
nice.
Duncan Egg shows about be coming up soon,
Oh,
as well as House of
love,
the Dragon?
love. Oh, are you talking about the original Dunkin' Egg stories? Love them.
Oh, so yeah, the Duncan Egg TV show and the Duncan Egg stories, as well as the House of the Dragon TV show as well.
I really enjoy the Dunkin' Egg stories. I really like Fafhrd and the Grey Mousers, so that's good if you like that stuff. Um, Show, definitely looking forward to that. House of the Dragon, really enjoyed it. Time jumps were a little jarring, but aside from that, it was very, very good.
Yeah, I really loved House of the Dragon as well. That's that episode 8. Oh,
Oh
oh,
man,
the emotions. It was so good. I love Viserys as a character. He surpassed the book. Admittedly, there's not a lot of great characters, I would say, in Fire and Blood beyond just like, holy fucking shit, this guy's awesome. I love him. I want to see this. Oh my god, this dude fought like
yeah, it's
50
more like a
people.
history book.
Yeah. Yeah, and like a history book, all you really have is, okay, how badass is this motherfucker exactly? And I think we all know what scene everyone's excited for in a certain scene that's going to be happening over a certain eye. Oh my god, I can't fucking
Oh
wait for that
man,
scene.
yeah.
That is some fucking Elric of Melniboné anime bullshit fight there. All
He
right,
fucking grabs his
listen,
knife and just tries to stab him. I'm like, yo, dude, hold on a minute. Hold
I
on
love.
a minute.
Listen. All I'm saying is like all fantasy becomes a lot better if you just view it as like an anime or something there because it's just like you could just like imagine all this cool, insane bullshit like extra like bullshit powers. And for me, I think like a Song of Ice and Fire definitely would work well as like something animated because it's just like it's so like exotic and like out there and a lot of times because I'm pretty sure Germ did drugs at some point in his life. He knows like what it's like to do like those type of trips. Oh my god, God, I can't wait for that scene. I can't wait for more anime bullshit from Germ. I can't wait to
Wait a
see what he
minute.
does in
I
store.
thought they already cut out the kid's eye.
Yeah, pretty grand, goddamn great. Oh, and I don't think I ever asked you quite yet. What do you think of good old Robert Jordan?
Haven't read them.
Never
Don't
read
know
him?
if I
Ah,
want
okay.
to.
Yeah, don't read the show. Don't watch the show. It's fucking garbage, and it's one of the worst things I think I've ever watched in my life.
I was just talking about it with Epic Tales last night. Like I haven't read Wheel of Time because I try to stick with standalones and like trilogies. With exceptions of course. But So because I had seen his video, so I was just trying to like get a rise out of him. So I'm like, so what'd you think of the show? And he's like, oh, fucking sucks. Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
I think if so long as you're not like a fucking yuppie who can like suck off anything Daddy Amazon can give you down his big throbbing cock, I think you would have the common sense and like decency to know that show's fucking garbage. All right, they fucking okay. There was these things called they have these like slave callers for people with magic in that series, right? instead of like making like a cool like epic collar around their
Uh,
neck to like stop them from talking, they made it a fucking pacifier. I'm not even joking. It was like it was a baby's pacifier that they made for like these like horrible torture things, and
so
it's
so
like
you like Robert Jordan or you don't like The Wheel of Time?
I love the Wheel of Time. All right, it
Oh,
has a
okay.
lot of stupid shit in it. It has a lot of dumb moments in it. All right, but it has some of the best character writing. Has some beautiful action and moments. It has some fucked up scenes that I really wish that he got into detail about. And he's just overall Robert Jordan. I think he's definitely like a peak of like writing and overall. I just hate the fans, and I really fucking hate whatever that show was. All right, because the fan base is like some of the most like annoying people you were ever meet in your life. They're just like literal cancerous tumors at times. It's ridiculous.
You said Moore in the when I asked which fantasy authors do you like. Did you mean Alan Moore?
Alan Moore for like fantasy authors I liked.
Yeah,
Let me check and see. I probably met someone else because there's like a lot of like fantasy authors that would have that
I
specifically.
thought not because I'm like, well, yeah, does he write fantasy? Maybe Prometheus
I
does.
mean, I mean, he did write those like short stories that recently had that
I still
specifically.
need to read those. Dang it! Ah,
Oh yeah, it was a pretty decent short story collection. There was this weird one with like a lizard. I don't know how to describe it, but I think something sexual happened in it.
something sexual happens in a lot of Alan Moore stuff. So I mean, I'm kind of
He's
used
a
to it.
horny little bastard, isn't he?
What? Yeah, yeah. No, I was reading Leave Extraordinary Gentlemen and like him and like Harker just fucking going at it. I'm like, dude. Ugh.
Yeah, I probably did say more. I'm not sure if I can remember that, but I'll be sure to tell you later. But yeah, I think Moore did write some like pretty good fantasy stuff, like every once in a while. Like I think his like pretty strong when it comes to that type of situation there, especially because like his handling of superheroes and like the connotations there. Like he's a very like pragmatic and somewhat cynical type of guy, and I think it's like he could very much radiates into stuff, and why I like him so much.
Wouldn't say
It-
cynical, but yeah, no, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I like that he takes these very kind of silly concepts and goes like, okay, what would they be like if they were real? And you're like, oh,
yeah, and sadly, most people like don't know what's actually real nowadays because it's just like edgelordism at times.
yeah,
Like yeah, okay. I don't think anything will be as bad as a certain Lord of the Rings fan fiction that I read on a dare because I was really like, my friends are assholes and they want me to suffer. Uh, okay, so in the Silmarillion, there's this character called Cerulean that was like wife of the one of Arwen's father's
I was
wife,
thinking what you were
basically.
saying about Amazon earlier, and I was sorry, just
Yeah,
fucking choking up on that
yeah.
Amazon dick or something, whatever.
Oh god, yeah, fuck Amazon and their adaptations. They've been shit. Uh, there was this character called Cerulean from there, and it's implied in the Silmarillion that she was raped because since it's Tolkien, he doesn't say. She just says she got corrupted, and we don't know what happened with that. But someone saw that one scene and decided to write what was basically a rape erotica about her.
Oh
And
God.
my friends, they told me about this and they said, "Hey, how about you go read this?" I read it. I was it was oh fuck, it was okay. I read Hogg. All right, Hogg is literally just a book about rape and every horrible thing
Hog?
happening.
Hog?
Hogg,
Hog?
yeah, by Samuel Delany. Have you ever heard of him?
I have heard of Samuel Delany. I haven't read it,
Yeah,
but
he wrote that book. It is that book's meant to be the most disgusting and vile thing a person can read and write, and it was just
oh Jesus Christ. Okay, so here's what it says on the Wikipedia page. Hog is a novel by American author Samuel R. Delany, written in 1969 and completed in 1995. My God. The novel deals graphically with themes of murder, child molestation, incest, coprophilia, which that is that's like that's
feces.
shit. That's shit
Yeah,
fetish. Corprophagia, which is eating shit. Urolagia, which is I don't know what that is. Anal. I don't know if I want to know what that is. Anal, oral contact, necrophilia, and rape.
That is a whole book, all right. And that fan fiction I read was almost as bad as that.
So
That
wait,
just
are you
tell you
saying
enough
that
how graphic.
Hog is like a bad novel, or are you saying like it's disgusting in like an artistic way?
Okay, so I made a video on it. I
Oh, you did.
am a
Okay.
fan of, yeah, I'm a fan of Market de Sade. I like Market de Sade quite a bit,
Oh,
and
okay.
he writes some horrible, horrible stuff at times in stuff like Juliet and the 120 Days of Sodom. Very graphic, very horrible stuff happens in those books, and I like de Sade still. I like Samuel Delany. He's a really good writer, and that's why I kind of hate Hogg so much. Is that it beats you over the head with its point, and that's why I want to almost call it a bad book. I have no problem with graphic violence. I have no problem with stuff like that. Like I'm a fan of Gaspar Noé and stuff like Irreversible, like very very graphic stuff, very depressing stuff, very stuff that's like makes you uncomfortable. My complaint about Hogg is that it is just nothing but graphic violence and horrible dialogue, and it has.
Horrible dialogue is what turned you off, and not the not
Well, that's the
not the
thing. Well, like, okay,
not
like,
the
listen, I have no problem like
creepophobia.
yeah, okay, like listen, one of my favorite movies is 120 Days of Sodom.
Oh.
That movie has an entire scene dedicated to them eating shit. All right,
Oh
and that movie
God.
is one of my favorite movies ever. Like it's such a great black satire, and Hogg is meant to be similar. The issue is that Delany is like such a fucking great writer, and he just makes me grossed out and disgusted and horribly uncomfortable in each and every scene. He influenced me a lot as a writer because of that, like how to make people uncomfortable with certain scenes. And like, okay, to tell you about Hogg, like the name of the main character is Cocksucker. That is his name.
That's his
That is his
name.
name.
Oh man.
And the book opens up with a three. I don't even want to call it a threesome. Okay, it was it, two children. All right,
Oh
that's the
Jesus.
opening
Oh.
scene, and two adults, and it
Oh God.
describes everything. I was almost gagging from that opening chapter
Oh.
alone. That's how bad it was.
Oh. Oh.
Like I
Oh.
almost want to call it a bad book because it's just that. It's that over and over and over and over and over again. Like I love the novel, like literary sadism. That's a genre for a reason. Okay, Peter Soto's A Sentimental Novel, Tampa. I love books that are graphic and horrible and disgusting. That book, I think, is just a bad book because of that. Like, there's nothing else to it really. Like a sentimental novel, that whole book is about a woman being groomed from a very young age to being a sex slave by her father, and that's the
Ah.
whole book. And it's a better book than Hog. I think it's just
Sorry.
like it's different integrity and different like artistic intents there,
Oh
pretty much.
God. Like, dude, you're gonna
Oh
make
yeah,
me
but if you want
sick.
true
Like,
like
you've gone in
horrible,
some way more depraved directions than I've gone in my reading. That's all I'll
oh
say.
yeah,
That's
I
all
read Peter Sotos. Yeah, Peter Sotos. Like the moment you go to him, like you never recover.
I'll say.
Like thankfully, I've never touched Pure. I'm glad I never touched Pure because like that got him arrested. Same for Cal Kender
Wait,
with
what? Wait,
Untitled
Pure?
12.
Hold on a minute.
So yeah, look up Peter Sotos and you'll see what I mean.
How do you spell his last name?
Sotos.
Oh, Peter Sotos. Okay. Ah. Jesus Christ. Oh. Um. Let's see. Peter Sotos arrested. Oh, dude. Oh.
Yeah, and that's the
Mm.
major thing about Peter Sotos. I'm not sure if he's actually like a depraved pedophile or not.
Oh,
We don't
jeez.
like he plays a character.
Oh.
Basically, like yeah, his whole thing is like critiquing like sexual assault portrayal in the media, like exploitation of children, stuff like that. And his whole magazine was like a murder zine. It was dedicated to like very explicit depictions of torture, murder, rape. And his books, if you can get your hands on them, you need to get like French editions. Thankfully, I can kind of speak some read French pretty easily. If you can find them, and you can actually look them up, they're basically like that. They're about degradation, murder, rape, pedophilia. They're very graphic and very dark and very depressing. And I love
You
Peter
read
Sotos because of like, that aesthetic at times. I hate him as a person in a lot of ways, but like the moment he did that with Pure, it's just like
Have you read
and with
have you read Gone to See the Riverman?
I have, yeah. I wasn't too fond of it, honestly.
What?
Yeah.
You didn't? I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah, I just had some issues with like some of the writing decisions at times, like towards the
What?
middle of the book. Yeah.
Dude.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah.
come
I have
on.
some very choice opinions. Oh yeah, if you want another fucked up author, you ever heard of Disco Asylum by any chance? I don't know, or Elysium, I think that's what it's called. That new popular game that recently came out.
What is it called?
Disco Elysium. You
I
ever heard
think
of that?
maybe I've heard of that. Let me look it up. Is that the
It's a pretty
sci-fi one?
popular like yeah, it's like a cyberpunk s kind of like future series, basically about like a detective and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, that had on there as an executive writer producer, Kaur Kender. Kaur Kender, he's from Romania and Estonia. Uh, he wrote one of like the most graphic like satires of fiction ever out there, and he got arrested for that. If you want to know how to spell his name,
Well,
I'll
it's
type it
called
here.
one of the greatest video games ever made, so I'm gonna have to check this out at some point.
Yeah, that game is actually pretty good. Like Kaur Kender, when he's not burgeoned down by like his stupid satire and exploitation stuff, he's a pretty decent writer. However, if you were to look up his Wikipedia page, you'll see he was arrested for something in Romania and Estonia for something he did regarding writing.
I enjoyed that one. I thought it was a very interesting look into the mind of a very depraved individual. But that's just me. Good summer read
Yeah,
too, because I read it in like
yeah,
June. Actually, around this time last year, I read it.
yeah. I typically like books like that. I just feel like that was too. I've read books that just explored similar ideas and like themes, and that did them a tad bit better. Like I think American Psycho and like generally Ellis's stuff, like Bret Easton Ellis's stuff. Like I
I
think he's
like
like
American
probably.
Psycho. I really enjoyed the movie. It's just so. Oh man, I
I
love
know
the
that
movie.
those movies, that movie and book are legitimately like perfect in so many ways. I
I
love
I,
them.
I love the movie. Christian Bale is just so
Mm,
good, so
so
good.
good. Such a great actor in that. Just an amazing actor in general. Like Memento, that he was just fantastic in that movie. Same and also same for Jake Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler as well. He was great
Oh
in
my
that.
God, Nightcrawler, so good.
Yeah, such a good movie. Such a great movie. I love it so much. Same for recently Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson has really showed to me like he's just a fucking amazing actor
Seen the
overall.
Lighthouse,
Yeah, Lighthouse. He
so
was just fucking
good.
amazing in that.
Oh man,
Yeah, and he played a great Batman as well.
he
Honestly,
he
I gotta give him
did.
props.
Yes, he did.
Yeah,
I'm
like just
looking
like an
for.
amazing like Bruce Wayne and Batman dynamic. He just captured that so well. He's proven himself to be a great actor, and I can't wait to see him in more of that artistic stuff from there on out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing the sequel to Batman, and also just seeing what he does next, because he's, like Good Time and
Oh, Good Time, such a fucking great movie.
oh man,
The guys who the guys who did that movie did Uncut Gems. That movie was also fucking amazing. I love Uncut
I'll never
Gems so
forget that
much.
movie. I watched it with my dad, and we both liked it. We thought it was really good. We showed it to my mom, and she hated it. She didn't get it.
Oh, that's funny. My mom hated the movie too, especially because of the ending. She was like so mad at the ending, like, but why? Why did that happen? He was like, I wanted him to like, get out of that. It's just like, God, that movie's just stressful. I think that's like the best way to
I know.
describe it.
It's just like, good lord.
That scene when like everyone came into like the jewelry and they're just like yelling at him, and he's just like trying to like to manage like multiple stuff at once. It's just like, oh my God. I was holding my breath because I was like feeling like so stressed out, just like trying to get everyone to calm down. And one of my other favorite movies, Possession, 1981. That
Still
movie
need
is
to
one of my
see
favorite of
that.
all time. That movie is just masterpiece,
Still,
masterpiece of like weird Lovecraftian pseudo reality stuff. It's so
I
fucking great.
still need to see it.
Definitely give it a go.
Yeah,
Same,
that was good.
same for so much of like Gaspar Noé stuff. Gaspar Noé, I just love him
I've
so much.
heard
He's like,
on and off stuff about him. I've heard he's kind of a love him or hate him kind of director, which could be good. I mean, I like Nicholas Winding Refn stuff, and um, Oh, what other nasty and depraved directors do I enjoy? Well, Kubrick to an extent. He's my favorite film director. Though his depravity is very limited at times.
Yeah, he's more contained. I'm definitely like a fan of like this exploitation like cinema type of stuff right there. Same for like Mondo films.
Yeah, I actually had some movies I got for my birthday I need to see. Like I got Get Carter. I got a Clute, which I'm looking because I like noir. I like really dark crime movies, and I've heard those are really good. I also have like a few
Which would be Clue or Cube?
Clute.
Clutes. Ah,
Donald Sutherland, Jane Fonda's in it. She looks bad as
yeah.
fuck. Hold on.
That movie's great. Definitely give it a go. You're gonna have some fun with that one.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at her. Look
Yeah.
at this. But fine as fuck right there. Also got a field in England, which I'm hoping to use as like research for stuff I'm writing right now. So,
Definitely. That movie's also great.
yeah, I need to watch that. I got
Another
Soul.
movie. Go
What?
ahead.
Oh, what'd you say?
Then I was gonna say I definitely recommend as well. Waltz with Bashir. That movie's also great.
I've heard of that. Yeah, isn't that the animated like documentary?
Yeah, it is about I think like the Balkans War, I believe. That movie's it's so fucking great. It's beautifully animated and surreal. It's just amazing in every way.
I also have Edge of Tomorrow. I got a buddy I do a podcast with. He really wants me to see that. I've heard it's very good.
Oh yeah, it's some of the time travel stuff is a bit weird, but it's pretty fun. It's a pretty fun adaptation of the original manga, honestly.
I also was looking through Atopiary, which I actually did a conversation about recently.
Oh, speaking of that movie, 'cause that movie's also great. What are you excited for? Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis when that comes out?
Um, Man, I love Coppola. Don't get me wrong. His run in the '70s are some of the greatest films of all time. Like Apocalypse Now is my favorite war movie of all time. Um, I'll definitely see it for sure.
Yeah, I'm personally excited for it because that's the casting for that movie seems absolutely fucking amazing. That it's gonna have some of my favorite actresses in there, specifically Aubrey Plaza. I think she's been showing a lot more like why she's like such a more like one of my favorite actresses. She's just so fucking talented and like just able to perform like such beautifully like
But like,
complex scenes.
have you seen like Shane Cruz stuff like Primer and Upstream Color?
I have, yeah.
Did you enjoy them?
I thought they were pretty fine. They're not in my top like 50 or even like 60, but they're really like beautifully shot films. Like really just like has that type of, like the dick type of edge. I just really like when it comes to like their stuff. Pretty much,
Mm.
very unique. Probably not gonna be my favorite. It has its own character voice that I could just never really like vibe with properly. But I respect it and I like a lot of what it does.
I see.
Yeah. For me, I'm more of like Mike Mikel Haneke type of fan, honestly. Like
I heard
Mikel
like Funny
Haneke.
Games from him. I haven't seen any of his other movies. I've heard Cache
Oh,
is just like
Ca-
everyone's like, "Yo, go watch it."
yeah, Cache. It's not a horror movie. It's a very uncomfortable movie, but I really love that movie a lot. I think The Piano Teacher is probably my favorite movie ever. It's so fucking like viscerally like sexual and uncomfortable, and like it just explores like the most uncomfortable aspects of humanity. It's so fucking great. Same for what's it called? What's it called? I'm trying to think of I think it's either the white ribbon and Amor. Oh my god, Amor is so good. Uh it's probably like one of like the best movies I watched. And it's just so beautifully depressing. I definitely recommend it.
Oh, sorry.
Just in general, like Haneke, he's one of those like weird directors where like I respect a lot of his like artistic and talents and a lot of like his creative decisions. I just find sometimes his essays can be a bit pedantic at times, honestly, especially like his stance and violence. But I get what he's going for most of the time. It's just I tend to like not agree a lot of time when it comes to it.
I might be a normie, but Stanley Kubrick is my favorite director. So,
Yeah, I can see why. I think really like the Storm of Steel adaptation. It's like just beautifully shot all around.
Storm of
And so,
Steel. What
Yeah,
is it?
yeah. It's based off this book by Ernest Younger. It's a war movie, specifically he did. I
What
also
movie
really
was
like
it?
Storm of Steel. It was literally just called that.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like I prefer I think Full Metal Jacket to that, but it's still pretty good, decent
are you
stuff
talking
right
about
there.
Past the Glory?
Past the Glory? Did he do that one? I'm getting confused with someone. Let me check. Hold on. Maybe I am. Maybe I don't know who I'm talking about. Because sometimes I can get. I am bad with names, so I sometimes get confused. Let me see. That's weird. I think I'm having like a fucking weird moment here. I could have sworn that like he directed a version of Storm of Steel. What am I thinking of? Hold on, hold on. I think I'm having like a fucking yeah, I'm having a Mandela effect here. What am I thinking about
Have you
here?
have you at least seen Stalker? Have you seen? I have Stalker here in my collection of
I
DVDs.
fucking love Stalker. That movie's great. It's fucking amazing. I love it.
I want to see it
And yeah,
again. I
yeah,
loved it when I saw it. I'm like, damn, this is a really good movie.
it is so
Now it's one of
good.
my favorites.
Okay, so yeah, I'm having a fucking Mandela effect. I'm thinking of something else there. Storm of Steel, like that never got adapted. I remember specifically because it's got mention of war movies, anti-war movies, and I remember loving Paths of Glory. That movie's so fucking good. And yeah, I'm remembering the novel now. It's specifically like the one by Kirk Douglas and all that type of stuff. I really like Douglas quite a bit. I think
Yeah,
he's one of the finest authors out there, and he needs more love, like Steinbeck, that usually gets from him.
I do like Steinbeck. Of Mice and Men.
Oh yeah, My Simmons
Pumpkins
just
tear my heart
beautiful.
out and just stomp on it and throw
It's
me out the
so
window. Why don't you?
so great. It's
Heartless
beautifully
son of a
simple. I
bitch.
love it. Yeah, I love Into Dubious Battle and what's it called? Fuck, I can't remember the fucking name of it. East of Eden. Yeah, East of Eden. I also fucking loved
I
that.
love
That
East Eden as well. That's a great book.
yeah, so beautifully written. It's like one of the peaks of like Americana culture.
I'm not a
You know,
huge fan
same way.
of Grapes of Wrath. Like I read it in high school and I was like, what? You know?
Oh yeah, that,
But
that book's more literary
yeah,
compared to his
no, I
other
mean
stuff.
like
I
when
enjoy.
like at the end where she like pulls out her titty to like fucking feed the guy. I'm like, what is this? Okay, come on.
Okay, okay. To give credence there, I'm just gonna say that's probably just Steinbeck being horny. I'm gonna be perfectly fucking honest.
I'm just like, what is this? Okay, hold on a
Listen,
minute.
listen,
Like,
Steinbeck, he got around, man. All right, he went around fucking some bitches. Okay, a lot of these authors did.
oh
A
man,
lot of these guys, like they got around.
they were
If you
laying
look at some
pipe
pictures of old
across the
Cormac
nation.
McCarthy, yeah, McCarthy he was getting around. Faulkner was getting around. When fucking Sigmund Freud was banging baddies
I
nonstop.
mean,
There's
apparently
this,
Outer Dark is based on McCarthy's divorce. So I mean, I don't know.
there's some aspects of that, yeah. There's you can see a lot of like the influence there because it was pretty recent that he went through that. A lot of his books have like those type of layers
I
to them.
also
Like a lot of
started
like,
this. I hope to continue it because
yeah,
yeah, is it good?
that
I'm
it is
enjoying
good.
it.
Yeah.
It's not really like it's a bit slow starting, but I'm hoping that I get sucked on in. That sounds a little
Yeah,
weird, but we'll go with it.
it's more of a literary novel than I would say like traditional one. So it takes its time. That's the most I
Yeah,
can
no,
say at times.
it's very descriptive, which I like. It gives like a description, and it's good stuff. It's
Yeah,
God, I sound really. I just sound like a chump right now.
especially after my stupid ass rant about Peter Soltos and all that
Yeah,
shit.
Peter's. You're talking about all these guys I've never even like heard of. I'm like, what the fuck is this guy on? Like, what is he talking about?
I haven't even discussed like Les Chants de la Molitor, that fucking book.
Do I
That book
even
is
want to
about
know what
praising
that
evil.
is? Like,
Yeah, it's a book about praising evil. That's the whole book. Like it is like the most like pro evil book you can possibly read. It's amazing. It's beautifully written. It's very like archaic and like dystopian and stuff like that.
I did
It's very
recently.
obscure.
I did recently just read The Killer Inside Me from Jim Thompson.
Uh, Thompson, I'm always been mixed on. The Killer Inside Me, I thought was decent from his catalog, but yeah, I'm not usually not the biggest fan of him. Same for what's his name? Stephen King's son. What's his name? What does he go under? Joe Hill?
Joe Hill?
That's what he goes under. Yeah, yeah, Joe Hill. Like I always feel like Jack Thompson of him and Joe Hill, like they have like this similarity in like writing catalogs for me personally. Like they vary a lot, just like their good old dad. Like Nosferatu. I read that novel from him, and I have barely read anything since from him.
Orange is very good from Joe Hill.
Yeah, I'll try and see if I can find like something that's a bit better for him. Like, I feel like Nosferatu was usually like the peak of stuff. Like I usually have a problem with when it comes to Stephen King and like stuff like that. Usually that the evils are too like they're too weak, honestly, at times. Like Pennywise had that issue for me. Like I never really well beyond the fact like I can't really get scared by anything anymore. Like I always felt like Pennywise
Yeah,
was
'cause
just
you're
like
reading
such
this
a
weird, disgusting shit like Hogg, you fucking weird. Reading this
hey
fucking...
hey. In my defense, all right, it takes a lot to scare me, all right.
You're reading this fucking disgusting ass shit.
Oh boy, dude! If you want pure disgusting shit, you gotta read Juliet. That book has some fucked up shit in it. Trust me. You will have a fun time with Juliet.
Oh
Juliet.
jeez, I don't even know
Yeah.
if I want to know what that is. Is that a
Juliet.
novel? A book?
It is. It's a sort of like pseudo philosophy novel from the French Revolution by the Marquis de Sade.
Oh, it's Marquis de Sade. I've heard of
He-
him. He's a
The king of sadism himself. Yeah.
yeah. Sadism comes from him.
Yeah, that's specifically why I read Hogg because Delany he made an essay about like the nature of like violence and how Sadian violence typically works. The depiction of violence in general. That was like his main focus of discussion within his works, and that's typically like the main course of direction within that book. And I'm fine with that. Like I said, literary sadism is a valid genre. Like shocking your audience for the sake of shocking them is a common through thing. Uh, it's just like yeah, Hogg is like the peak of like no. It's just like no. And I don't recommend people read it unless I'm challenging them to read the book. Like do what I did and make a live reaction. I want to see like everyone's reactions to that book and just be horrified.
Now I'm kind of oddly curious to read Hogg just to see how I would react to it.
Bro, it's only 200 pages and it will feel like 1,000. That's how bad it is.
Jeez, my parent. Oh god, I dread that day because my parents are gonna be like, "What the fuck is the matter with you?" And I'm like, "Look, I don't like this."
Just do what I did and just like buy it off Kindle and then return it once you're done. Just like never read it
Just
again.
rent it and then be like, "I'm done."
I'm
Oh, jeez.
done. I remember like my history with that was the book I always dreaded in my life to read because I read that for a college course on censorship. We were supposed to discuss that. I read the first couple of pages and I was done. I was just like, yeah, I'm reading A Clockwork Orange. I'll go ahead with that.
It was that bad. He couldn't like. I'm surprised no one's like banned like McCarthy's books, or maybe they have. I don't know.
Mainly that's because McCarthy wasn't like big during like the whole censorship roundup. Basically, that and Southern Gothic literature tends to be like treated differently compared to them. Usually, like 1984 stuff like that. That's more mainstream, so that's typically why that gets more attention for like banning and stuff like that.
So you said you like The Wire. Have you read Homicide?
I have, yeah, pretty decent. Not much I can say there, honestly.
Alright. Just wanted to ask because I just saw it over there.
Yeah. It was pretty like it was pretty standard like novella type of stuff like there, so I don't really have like much opinions on that. When it comes to more like mainstream books, unless like the characters like are amazing in every regard, I tend to like have not many opinions on them beyond just like so or it's okay.
Well, yeah. Again,
That's
because
pretty.
you read the fucking Hog. How can you go back and read like normie literature after you read something like that?
Hey! I'm a Dresden Files fan. Okay, I
Oh,
can I can
okay.
read it and stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. I haven't read
I can
that
read
one.
the normie stuff. All right, you just need to have really good characters, and you'll win me over.
Fucking Hog. Jeez, that's gonna be ingrained in my head for the next couple days. So thanks for that.
Oh yeah, that book stays with you for better or worse.
Jeez.
Even like its name and it's like a specter over you. It'll be whispering in
It's
your
like
head.
it's like Beetlejuice. You say it 3 times and it just or
Yeah, that about sums it up.
sorry, I'm coughing. I'm getting over a sickness.
Nah, man, it's fine. It's fine. Trust me, I know the feel for that type of thing right there. But yeah, it's pretty much
Oh
like the
Lord.
most of like my creative like
Fucking
insanity, pretty
Hogg.
much.
Oh god. And now I got. I'm like, okay, just Hogg.
You're trust me, Anarchy. It has some fucked up shit of it, and you have Hogg to blame for that, pretty much. That's all I'm gonna say.
So like, so Anarchy is like straight up fantasy.
It is. It's a so it takes place in like this weird like it's like a futuristic world of like steampunk aesthetic at times, but it's like it's still medieval most of the time, like around like ancient China, ancient Arabic places, like stuff like that, pretty much. But
Mm-hmm.
like there's aliens that do exist there. Like there's aliens with like futuristic technology that advance society. It's different from our world completely in so many regards and ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's taking place in like the Gilded Age, stuff like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
industrialization's like not very common,
Mm-hmm.
type of setting.
Mm-hmm.
And it has, dragons, dinosaurs, zombies, ghouls, like alien ghouls, stuff like that. A lot of like high fantasy stuff that I wanted to see more of. That's sadly not very common nowadays because people are lame. That's what's going on. Y'all have some boring imaginations, all right? Like you got a genre where you can make dragons real. Why is there no like dinosaur knights, okay? Victor Hugo, not Victor Hugo, the guy who wrote The Dinosaur Lords. He understood that. Those books suck, but like still he understood that.
you like dinosaurs. I get it.
Bro, like they're like the coolest fucking thing ever, and like no one uses them besides like pulp fiction writers. Even Robert E. Howard knew, okay, I'm gonna have Conan fight a dinosaur, and not just any dinosaur, a velociraptor. He's gonna wrestle it with his big, thick, meaty
Wait, he
muscles.
did? I haven't read that yet.
Dude, did you ever read Red Nails? Dude, that's where he fights a velociraptor, and it's so fucking awesome. It's amazing.
I gotta check that out. It's then at some point.
Same for the one where fucking Solomon Kane fought, like a dude for like multiple pages with like a fencing sword. And it's like the best action scene ever. Oh my god, I love Robert E. Howard, and more people gotta pay that man respect. Just like such a great writer. Just overall, like pulps, sort of sorcery in general. Like I kind of wish we got back to that genre a bit, but then again, I remember like, oh yeah, most of them are garbage. That's probably why we're never gonna see them ever again. Because it's just like it's such a genre that's just like blithe and filled with like horrible writing at times. Especially stuff like Acts of Cain, I think is like some of like the worst writing it can get at times.
Axe
Just
of
like proving
Cain.
them. Yeah, by Matthew Stover. I hate those books with an unfathomable passion, like beyond any sensible belief. It's not even funny. It's it sounded good on paper, and I thought it like at first like it was a series that was self-aware about what it was doing. Then I realized, oh God, no, it's not. Oh God, no, it is some of like the most like edgy cringe lord shit you can read out there, and it sucks because like there's so many cool concepts and ideas that get wasted because Matthew Stover is a hack fraud who can't fucking write to save his life. It's just how it goes.
I'm always uncomfortable with the term hack and fraud because it's like, man, maybe it's
Okay,
just because.
I call him a hack fraud because he writes the exact same fucking way for everything he writes. He has a character that talks like so yeah I mean like literally, and they're always the same archetype. Big fat meaty sailor merchant guy who's like kind of sketchy and kind of like a corrupt politician who talks and stutters. And then you have the cool edgy badass character that talks in like modern saying like I'm gonna go and fuck God in the ass. And I'm not joking, that's a real piece of dialogue in that fucking book series.
I'm gonna fuck God in the ass. I'm sorry, that is too ridiculous even to fathom.
And what I hate is like, okay, I was like, okay, these are like making fun of like edgy like '90s movies, like like until like, well then, it seems you're on. ice, and then he just drops him to like a bunch of ocean or some shit like that. That was like it was like that, like Escape from New York, where like yeah, there's some stupid lines, but like it's so fucking cool. It goes back to being like actually like fun and badass. But then like I realized like no, this Stover thinks this is cool. Like he actually thinks he's writing something cool here. I'm just like, I'm kind of glad you became a failed scriptwriter. That way I don't have to suffer through this. Like Jesus Christ. And you know what sucks? Like he has this awesome character in there that's like a literal god who speaks in like pure capitals in every sentence, and he gets defeated in like the lamest way possible, and he's nothing but a punching bag for the entire
He
series.
gets the old goofy type of treatment.
Literally, like big ultra god figure gets kicked in the balls and gets one shotted. It is like the lamest way to like end off like such a cool villain and character, and I hate it so fucking much. It pisses me off to this day. It's like killing off Frieza in like one shot. Like, why would you do this? Why would you? Oh my god!
There was one book I tend not. I try not to use words like hack and fraud. Like, I'm not trying to like criticize you for using this, by the way. Like, it's fine, but like, because I generally try to give most writers benefit of the doubt, unless you're James Patterson, who just doesn't give a fuck anymore. But I tend to think that authors put their time into what they write. So it really takes a lot for me to say this guy really is bad and like hacky, right?
Yeah.
So there's one book I read, or I didn't read it. I read like parts of it, and yeah, no, that's the only time I have ever said like this person's like hack bad, whatever. I forget the name of it. It's like it. Can you please load Goodreads? No.
But yeah, definitely James Patterson. Like he's
fucking lazy.
I would also.
That's his
Yeah.
fucking problem. He's just fucking lazy.
Yeah, constant fucking ghostwriters. It's like not even funny.
I'm like, dude.
God, like
why? But
it's
why?
not letting.
I agree with a lot of Stephen King's criticism. And you can say whatever you want about King, like, oh, his endings are bad. At least he writes his own shit. Like, come on, dude. Come on. Come on. Like, all right, let me find what this book is, because Daniel Green covered it on his channel, and I'm just it's.
Was it it wasn't there, it's not Terry Goodkind. What was the name of that author?
Oh no, Terry Goodkind fucking sucks too. I don't even want to get started.
Yeah, I know. It's I think I know which one. It was the Fifth Sorcerer.
Sorceress. That's it, right here.
Yeah,
right there. I'm like, I'm avoiding the shit out of that book.
Oh yeah, I heard a lot of horrible things about that book specifically. I'm like, okay, yeah, not going into that. When I heard about the unironic like homophobia and stuff like that, I was like, okay, let's just.
There's people who actually like Terry Goodkind, and all I'll say is there's so much better fantasy out there. Like, come on.
There is.
Like, dude,
Wizard's First Rule. I can understand why people would like that, but like he's
the worst novel I've ever read, but it's not good. Like, I don't like it. It's just, and also, he's an asshole.
Oh yeah, he was a raging asshole. He was just a dickhead in every fucking single regard. It's like not even funny.
Shit about Robert Jordan. I'm like, he's all like, oh, like he's talking about how he's gonna die. He's like, dude, my health is starting to flail. He goes on his Facebook and he goes, I've never read Robert Jordan, and I don't know if he'll be for me, but like that's pretty low bar. Like, I'm just saying, he's all like, I feel as healthy as a horse. I'm like, fuck you, man.
Yeah, he's such a pretentious asshole too. Like, my friends insist like maybe he was a troll, but it's like no one can be this much of a dickhead without like just being serious, like, or like this career tanking. Like, he's just such a raging asshole. I can't fucking stand him at all. It's just like, I'm gonna be perfectly frank. I did not feel a thing when he died. I did not
I'm
care.
like, look, for his family, I'm sorry for the family. That's all I'm
Yeah.
gonna say.
Like, listen, all right. I feel bad for the family. I feel bad for the people who loved him. Like they cared about him. I did not. I thought he was.
Whoever actually was unfortunate enough to like him, I'm sorry for you, but
Yeah.
terrible.
He was a dick. I'm gonna be perfectly frank there, all right? I'm allowed to say, yeah, you're a dick. I don't care if you die. I'm just gonna be perfectly fucking frank there.
Now I'm
It's
not
just
gonna
how
go
it.
around on his Facebook saying like "fuck him" and he should go burn in hell. I'm not gonna say that, but
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely not doing anything like that. Yeah, that's a different kind of like dickheadery right there, dude. Like not even going near that level.
I'm not
It's
gonna
just,
match his dickheadery with my dickheadness.
it's just how it
Maybe we'll
goes,
grab a couple copies of Hogg and like throw it on his grave. That'll be nice.
man. Better literature than everything he wrote.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. It's a terrible no. It's like Wizard's First Rule is not a good book.
Well, you didn't love the BDSM rape sex scene that went on
Yeah,
for
no, yeah, so good. Oh, I'm kidding. It's not
peak
like look,
fiction right there.
not yeah, peak literature right there, but I mean I don't have any problem with that, but like dude,
I know. I don't really have the problem with it, and intentionally, it just makes it even funnier because it's like he speaks of himself like this like high art like
I write about
savant.
important human
Yeah,
beings, and then he's like talking about like BDSM, like blowjob rape. I'm like, dude,
yeah, like with like hot, sexy nuns and like tight clothing and all that type
bro,
of shit. It's like okay, dude, calm down, all right? Like you
it's
don't.
hard for me to find a book where I'm like, dude, I could probably write this better. I could,
There's always
and
like a few couple of books you always find that's just like that's pretty much just like that. You're like, god damn. It's like the common issue of like, the literature like world at times. It's just like you have people who are like kind of way, way too confident in their writing abilities, and it just comes off as just them being raging egotists beyond like any type of measure. It's like not even funny.
yeah,
And that's
no,
why I find that I try to like keep myself to like a decent amount of humility because I know for a fact I and I do a lot of stupid stuff. So you gotta be like really like careful what you gotta do, what you gotta say. I think like sometimes though it's just like an issue nowadays. Like people are way too like just confident in their writing abilities, and it's just like I understand the need for that. I understand the need to be like accepting of yourself and like saying like I'm satisfied with
I had
this
a
and I need to
buddy who
keep.
liked it, and he's like, I don't even know why I read through the whole thing. I'm like, dude, it's not good. And he's like, I know, but there are
Answer.
people who like Terry Goodkind, and if you like Terry Goodkind, that's fine. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, I don't. Both as a
It's
writer
like it's
and as a human being.
yeah, it's a double whammy of just like bad author and also just like raging dickhead.
Exactly. I'm like, dude. Like, I'm sure if I met
Like
Chip Delaney, I bet he would be a nice guy.
yeah.
I probably wouldn't read Hogg for that matter after what AJP
Yeah,
here
Delani
said.
Delani seems like the nicest guy ever. Like he seems like very emotional, very like kindly, very like intelligent. And then he writes something like that, and it's just like, what the fuck happened here? What were you on while you were writing this? And really, I've had people say that to me with like some of the stuff I write when I get really graphic, and they're just like, what happened to you? Why did you write like these horrible scenes? Like I get why people say that, but still, it's just like Jesus.
Like,
It's
I've
like
read a
the
lot of bad sci-fi and fantasy in my time. I've read some very good sci-fi and fantasy in my time. I don't know if I'm gonna read Hogg though, from the sound of it. I've never read it, but I don't know if I want to after what you said.
oh yeah, that book's the challenge for what you got to read. It used to be like a thing around some college campuses where like they'll make kids like read it for as long as they could without like putting it down and having to take a break. That's how bad it could get at times. Where it's like in like its
Uh,
heyday. Yeah, it was like part of that major like beatnik generation like inspiration, like being as graphic and disgusting and like counterculture as you could possibly be, pretty much. And yeah, stands as that. If you want another disturbing novel, read Naked Lunch. William S. Burroughs.
I
That's based
have
off some
wanted
like
to read Naked Lunch for a while. I
yeah,
read
Bur
Junkie a long time ago from Burroughs.
yeah, that novel is also great. I really love Burroughs. He's such an authentic character, and I really adore like a lot of his creative talents and ability as an author, and how authentic and like just like true he is.
Oh,
It's
here's what he says. This is his second experiment in pornography from my Amazon book, Amazon glance through. It's great.
The thing is, if there's anything Thomas Pynchon and James Joyce taught me, it's that high art and low art can definitely combine, and you can definitely make porn into art, like and as well as sexploitation into art, like Lady Scorpion. I've no Female Prisoner 73001. I think is what's the name of it, or
You read
731.
Lost Girls from Ellen Moore?
Oh yeah. I read Lost Girls. I'm a pretty decent fan of that stuff. I really like the sexploitation, like gory schlock films quite a bit. I really do like those.
Oh, yeah,
I know most people hate.
like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah,
Those type of like really trashy like horror movies.
yeah, trashy, urban, gritty, disgusting, like very like low brass, common denominator type of stuff right there. Like I'm not gonna pretend like I'm high art or anything like that. I love Adam Sandler movies, even the garbage ones. That's just how I am as a person. All right. I'm an immature person with an immature sense of humor and discrepancy. All right. I'm not afraid to admit that in any regard. All right.
But then again, you also like Thomas. I don't know how to pronounce pension. Is how I pronounce it.
Pichin. You can say it either way.
Piken. I don't know. I haven't read any of his stuff yet.
Oh yeah. And the Gravity's Rainbow is like that's what most people consider this book to be like. But in that whole book, he talks about like the nature of free will and like physics and like philosophy and like how we perceive reality and the nature of like our very existence. And then he'll have like the main character get pissed on by a hooker while he tries to eat her out. And it's a ride. And that book is like why I'm like I such a believer like high and low arts typically. Like I don't believe in like avant-garde and quiche as like definitions. I think there's just like lower common denominator and like more like common brass. Like there's no real like
Hogg
integral
is
art
a
difference.
work of pornography. Oh god. Why have you Why have you planted this idea in my head? You read
Good luck
Angela
with it.
Carter?
Have I read who?
Have you read Angela Carter?
I have not very opinion on her. I don't really have like much to say honestly.
Wait, so is the Scorpion Garden like the first like? Oh wait,
First of all,
wait, is the Scorpion Garden like the? Is that like the first chapter? Or is this
for
like
what specifically? Oh,
well,
are you looking at Hog right now?
yeah, I'm looking at Hogg right now.
I believe it is. Let me check real quick. It's
I'm so
Could be.
confused. I don't know if that's
It's
like a
either
new.
that or it's one of Delaney's essays, which is just him explaining his stuff pretty much. He's a pretty good essay writer most of the time. So let me see. Actually, yeah, that's actually a pretty good way to end this off. Pretty much, you could you can get like a bit of the taste of what's gonna happen in that book.
Oh jeez.
But let me go ahead and
Um, my next McCarthy book that I want to read is Suttree, so I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, come in July, probably gonna pick that up, and see how that book goes. Heard it's very autobiographical.
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a lot of stuff that's based off of McCarthy's real life, like some certain like real gang members, and criminals that he used to be friends with that ended up dying. But not like it's not completely true to life. Like a lot of it's like made up and stuff like that. Okay, so the Scorpion Garden, no, that's not the first chapter. It's Delani's like commentary on
That's what I
media
thought.
and like yeah. The first chapter, you can get it from a sample in Kindle, I think. Good luck with that.
Uh,
Uh, yeah. And so with Suttree, it's a parody of McCarthy because he did very much like leave and abandon his family and his like wealthy life to go be an author and writer, and it's a satire in his own existence. It's a very like Ulysses like esque novel that makes fun of not only himself but just generally like a lot of his like real life, pretty much. Very very beautifully done. Oh no, what happened here?
But yeah, either that or then after that maybe Outer Dark. I don't know.
Have fun with Outer Dark. That book is like it's just beautifully written. It's more traditional compared to like most of the stuff. It's very simple in prose, but it's so good. Very very
What you
poetic.
say?
Very well
Try
written.
Outer Dark next instead of
Uh,
Suttree.
maybe Outer Dark before Suttree because it has simpler prose. And it's a bit more like straightforward with its themes, but it's still like beautifully written and beautifully like directed and like characterized in so many ways.
Oh, I was kind of set on Suttree though.
You can do either or. Like they could probably just help you like build up towards what's gonna happen in Suttree because they are connected technically. There's like a certain character that's in Outer Dark that's in Suttree, but that's about it. It's not like a big thing, not a big connection, but it's kind of connected and
I
intertwined.
heard there's a guy who masturbates in it, and that's nice.
Oh yeah, you have a whole scene of an old dude just stroking his penis in Suttree. And the best part, it's a comedy. That's like the main thing about this book. It's a comedy, and so the main character just walks in on him doing it. He just keeps going, and just like they just keep staring at each other. And he just keeps going. It's fucking hilarious. I love it.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Yeah, it's such a great. It's a funny. It's a hilarious book. I definitely recommend you have fun with that one because McCarthy had fun with that. It's also just beautiful in every way. It's such a great book. And yeah, I pretty much have not much to say right there. I think like McCarthy, like I don't want to hype him up because I think he's just an author you have to experience. I think he's just one of those authors personally.
yeah, no, I agree. He is one of those authors. But I was gonna say, man, it's probably we're gonna end off with the old man masturbate. This has been a very fun episode
I know, man. This has been so much fun.
where we've been
I'm
geeking
glad
out
I'll be
about
able.
Invincible and talking about Hogg and old people jerking off. It's
Yeah,
been beautiful.
definitely make that a video if you ever do read it. Hog live reaction, just like
Hog live react. I'll do it. I'll definitely do it. I'm just oh man, I really need to invest in a Kindle, but that's beside the point.
yeah. Actually, I think you could probably buy it off like the bookstore on your phone, and then you could just like have fun there.
uh,
Uh, But yeah, man, it's been great
oh,
talking to you. Like this was like I'm glad I get to just shoot my shit and like just have like my stupid ideas out in the open, pretty much. Just like get to just like have some fun because that's how it goes, pretty much. Some relaxation time.
see, we can do like a Suttree discussion and talk all about that old man beating his dick.
Oh yeah, definitely. Me and Epic and the guys. Like I know Black and Blue Collar Reader. He's been wanting to read more McCarthy, especially after his unfortunate passing. Uh, I definitely would love to do that. Such Tree is one of my favorite books of all time, and I think it's one of McCarthy's like magnum opuses. And I think like a four quadruple like little discussion would be like pretty great, little round table.
But yeah, no, it's been fun talking with you, man. I'm glad you decided to come on. This was kind of
Yeah,
a short notice, but it was worth it. I'm like, I'm not doing anything today, so yeah,
hey,
no,
I'm gonna say I always leave an impression. That's just how it goes.
just definitely, it's probably gonna be up in like, I don't even know, because I have like four on rotation here. So yeah, I'll let you know when I
Yeah,
put it up. But if you have any like social media where you share a lot of your other weird ideas, feel free.
yeah. I do have an Instagram, I do have a YouTube, and I do have a Twitter. Be sure to check them out, guys. I'm just called AJP on YouTube now, just to make it a bit easier on you guys. So you just go and look up my channel and yeah, subscribe, and I'll try to make some videos out in the future. Maybe do a discussion on Market de Sade at some point, and just disturb
I'm
you
sure you're
all.
not the jujitsu guy.
The jujitsu. Let me
There's a
see.
AJP called jujitsu.
Oh, no, I'm not
I
jujitsu. Let
like
me
on your
see.
channel your like dub line is "I was a mistake," and it's just you have a very edgy sense of humor. It's interesting. Uh,
And yeah, if you guys can't find my channel, just look up at the World of AJP. You might be able to find me there, honestly. And unfortunately, you're gonna have to type in periods because this shit's a bit annoying. Yeah, you'll have to type in at the World of AJP. But yeah, just go ahead and just stop by my channel. I'm a pretty pretty stream of consciousness. You won't see like really any scripted videos from me. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun, guys. Give me a go. Give me another
give me
chance
a
if you can.
go. Sounds kind of sounds suggestive, but I'll let it slide for now.
Yeah.
All
But yeah,
right, well, take care, everyone. Thanks for coming on, AJP. Wait, isn't your name Alex?
yeah. Alexander Joe Perez. It's not my initials. Those are not my initials. It's from an old like joke in high school that matched up with my name. I can't say it on YouTube because I'm pretty sure it'll get us banned. So let's just say it was something offensive.
All right,
Instead
take
of an
care.
F, it started with a PH. Okay, it was the 2000s. You can't judge us.
All right. Well, take care, everyone. Until the next one.